All right, folks, we had a great chat with Katie Kennedy. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think you guys will too. She is a double threat. She works as a media juggernaut over at Slush Magazine while also maintaining a career as a professional snowboarder. So there's two great perspectives there, and there's a lot to learn. She's got an infectious approach to life, talking about not taking things too seriously. She's really funny in this one. I think you guys are going to love it. She talks about the importance of print media. And I think we can all learn a lot from Katie Kennedy's philosophy in this one. So before we get into the show, I got to say thank you so much to all the sponsors for coming on board. We couldn't do it without you, as well as our Patreon members. But major shout out to Woodward, Bubs, Pub Beer, Joey's Footbeds, Arbor, Paradox Fitness, Yeti, Smith, Turtlebox, Nitro, and GoPro. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And let's get into it. The Katie Kennedy episode.
You are listening to the
Hey, MFM. See you on the lips. Back attack, dude.
Bon voyage!
Get that damn car off of the hill.
Slide down them big hills. You know what I mean? On the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
Welcome to the Bomb Hole, which is presented by Run Through Wall Smelling Salts, the best company on planet Earth. Co-hosting today, we have Jill Perkins. What's happening, Jill?
Hey, Chris. Happy to be back. Really excited about this one.
For the listeners who can't see, maybe you could explain your outfit.
Yes, I was going with a Ron Burgundy look today. Newscaster also doubles as like a father-daughter dance situation. And I'm just happy to be here with... Do you want me to say the name?
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here with Miss Katie Kennedy on her first Bomb Hole appearance. Everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for dressing up for the occasion.
What's happening, Katie? How are we feeling?
Feeling good. It is Wednesday, March 12th, and yeah, feeling really good to be here with you both, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, it should be a fun show. And also we have Silk D in studio.
Yep.
Silk's running the new Run Through Wall nose strips.
Yeah, I don't know if these are for sale or yet not. They're not yet, but
how's the customer experience?
customer experience is through the roof. There's nothing I'd rather be doing on Wednesday, March 12th.
Amazing. All right, so Katie, let's just get right into it. You wear a lot of hats. Maybe you could explain to the listeners your current role of what you're doing in the snowboard world.
Yeah, that is a layered answer. My biggest responsibility, or on like a day-to-day basis, I am the digital director of Slush the Magazine. I direct myself, but I work with a great team of people, and that really entails like website, email marketing, social media, brand partnerships, whatever we need. And yeah, I do that, and I snowboard for LibTech and 686, and like film and ride professionally, and I think that's it right now. Sometimes I have more roles than that, but those are my two big things going on.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to set the stage so everybody knows kind of who they're talking to with your roles. But let's go back. Let's go back to Jersey roots and where you grew up.
Yep, I'm from the Jersey Shore, Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey. They say there's no middle of New Jersey, but I am from Middletown. I am from dead center in New Jersey, and right on the beach. Like, grew up a couple blocks from the Atlantic Ocean, really far away from mountains, and yeah, somehow found my way in Utah, and I think I might have the most powder days out of anyone from New Jersey. That's a goal.
Self-claim.
Unofficial record.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of old heads older people that are
Hence
from
the
New
name.
Jersey. So that's a goal of mine. But I'm from all the way over there.
All right, we're going to hit a hard-hitting question from Barrett Christie right out of the gates. Here we go.
Hi, Bombhole. This is Barrett. Really excited to listen to this Katie Kennedy episode. Katie, I got a question for you. You know I love my Jersey people. Given your Jersey roots, I want to know, who do you relate to more? Snooki, JWoww, or Danny Cass? Can't wait to hear it. Bye.
Oh, wow. Well, Snooki, probably. Mostly because she doesn't really care about anybody. And, well, I don't know. She just does whatever she wants. And, yeah, I hope I can be more like Snooki on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
So you align with Snooki?
Yeah, JWoww's like too intense. And Danny Cass I never thought I was like him.
What about Bruce Springsteen? Any
Good question.
Yeah, Bruce, of course.
Bruce.
Legend.
Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Bruce comes on, just
Let everybody know she's from Jersey.
What about the situation?
Yeah.
I actually saw the situation.
No way. In real life?
Yeah, he came to my restaurant I was working at once. And yeah, they're like starstruck, full on, was like, oh my gosh, it's a situation. But he's a little too intense too. Snooki's just like lighthearted, just having fun, just happens to be where she is. She doesn't really know how she got there. Same.
Dude, can we just highlight the fact of how good of a nickname The Situation is?
Yeah, no, he's good.
God, it's got to be a Hall
Nailed
of
it.
Fame. That's a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I try to like
Nickname.
avoid situations.
We got a part 2 question for Barrett, a little follow-up. Here we go.
Oh, and bonus question, who would win the Bombhole Cup? The Situation or DK?
Well, I haven't been to a Bombhole Cut, so I don't really know what the judges are looking for. I think Danny Cass would win, but not by a lot.
Neck and neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really close. The situation, who knows?
There could be a situation.
I guess if there was like shots involved, Situation would win the after party, I would assume.
There might be an award for that.
The hearts of the people.
I haven't checked in on the Jersey Shore cast in a minute, and just want to throw this out there. They are not from the Jersey Shore. They're
Put it down.
They are technically Bennies. Bayonne, Elizabeth, Newark, New York. That's what we would call like people that would come to visit the Jersey Shore. Oh, the Bennies are here. And it was great growing up because we always had like this influx of people spending money at bars. I had a job when I was 11. But yeah, they're not from New Jersey, but it's a good conversation starter. You say you're from the Jersey Shore and they're like, oh, like Snooki? And I'm like, yeah, I don't look like Snooki, but yeah, they would come and visit. But yeah, like I said, good way to like kick off a good conversation on the gondola.
When you were living on the Jersey Shore, what did you prioritize, gym, tan, or laundry?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
GTL.
Yeah, which one?
Right.
Definitely tan as a kid. That was number one. Just go to the beach, do whatever.
Bake.
Yeah, just every day.
Yeah.
Bring my surfboard, bring all the gear. Didn't even know if there were waves. Laundry, never.
We're still working on that one. Yeah. That one comes later in life.
But now I would say it would be gym, laundry, tan. But as a kid, it was tan, gym. But gym was just a natural thing, just running around until I had to come home. And then
Free range.
Yeah, free range. There was no rules at the Jersey Shore. We could ride our bikes everywhere. And yes, I didn't. It was cool to be able to have that much freedom as a kid because it was all pretty safe, I guess. Looking back, though, there were some things that I'm like, damn, that wasn't safe.
When you were a kid in snowboarding, being based out of there, were people asked like what you like to do, and you said snowboarding. Was that like a shock to people, or?
Yeah, like nobody knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I'd like have like a broken arm in 3rd grade and say I got hurt snowboarding, and people would be like, where? And I'm like, just a couple hours away, a couple 6 hours
That probably
away.
felt good though, something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you find snowboarding?
I started skiing as a like 5 years old, I'd say. My family never really did winter sports or anything. Definitely, I grew up like right down the street from my grandparents, and we all stayed in our little bubble. And then, my family were like, oh, maybe we'll try skiing. And we went just to like the Poconos, which is like Pennsylvania. And I did some ski lessons, and I just remember it being super fun. And I mean, honestly, wasn't that good at like winter sports like basketball, but had a lot of energy. So my parents were probably like, oh, let's get them to do something. And then, we all just started to like it. I have a brother that's super close in age, and we would just go skiing. And then probably when I was like, I always really liked surfing and skateboarding, but wasn't like, they didn't come super naturally to me, but I really was like a fan of board sports, thought they were like the coolest thing. And then, started skiing, and then was like, oh, snowboarding's going to be cooler. And then, I was really bad, I remember. And then one day just kind of like figured it out. I had an uncle that snowboarded. That was like my coolest uncle. And he's like, you got to snowboard. And then when I was 9, I started snowboarding. And that's when like my family started kind of all getting into it more. And we would like go up to Vermont and things like that. And that's how I started. I don't really remember like when like I was like, oh, this is coming so naturally or anything like that. But I guess the first time I was like, oh, snowboarding is like a thing was there happened to be like a U.S. Open when I was 12 years old. And like Shaun White was there, and Kelly Clark and Gretchen Blyer and Lindsay Jacobellis. And then there was a rail jam that day for like the kids. And I never hit a rail, but I signed up for it. And won based on the fact that I was the only girl. But I won like a snowboard and did board slides and some 50-50 to front board swivel things. And then I was hooked. And kind of a funny story there. Like Molly Aguirre, Mason and Molly Aguirre, we were both there. And Molly Aguirre is like riding with the kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's this girl that is snowboarding, and she's wearing sick outerwear and is so cool. And she was like, oh, like you should come to Wendell's. I have a session. And I was like, okay. And went home and was like, I'm going to Wendell's session 6. And my parents were like, what are you talking about? So I like saved up all my money, and my parents let me go. They like bought it for me for Christmas or something. And then I like am 12 years old, and I just like get to camp, and I like ran right up to Molly. I was like, hey, I made it. I'm here. And she was definitely like, who are you? And I was like, I'm here. You told me. Meet me here. For session 6, I'm here. What are we getting into?
Oh my God.
And I just kind of like after that experience of like, the free like granola bars and like winning a snowboard, and like that I just became like super obsessed, and would write letters to everybody and like watch all the videos. And this is like way before like this is before like the internet in some senses. I mean, like I think I had a pretty good grasp on what the internet was, but looking back, I like didn't have any like, I only could know what I would see. So that was like the first time that I saw other people outside of like, maybe a couple good kids at the resort I was at, that I'd be like, oh, they're the best ones here. What are they doing? So I was like, oh, and then I went to camp, and then I became like super obsessed with it from like a really like earnest standpoint. Like didn't know what I was looking at, but was like, this is super cool. I became like a little bit of a super fan. Like I am happy there wasn't social media when I was 12 years old, because I'd probably be DMing everybody. Like
you'd be in jail.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, I know, like I saw you the other day. What's your address? So yeah, that's how I kind of like found out what it was, and and then from then on out was like, that's the coolest thing I could be doing, especially my summers were so fun as a kid, but I wasn't good at surfing. I am pretty good now. No. But I wasn't good at skateboarding, so I was like, this is it. This is going to be the one.
Well, previously you mentioned you used to send letters to everybody. We happen to have a letter that you sent to Snowboarder magazine that was published, which I'm going to read, whether you like it or not, really. It's pretty amazing. It says, "Dear Snowboarder, I am a 12-year-old girl, and I guess you can say a photographer. I have made a lot of friends who are good snowboarders, but no one sees them. Not even this one kid who is probably better or just as good as Sean White. So if I send some pictures, maybe you guys can think about putting a few in an article. I feel people who sometimes aren't too good should still have a chance in the best-selling snowboard mag. When taking photos, I would tell people they may have an opportunity to get in Snowboarder, but it's not definite. Also, I would not say to the park staff I am working for Snowboarder because I am not, and I am only 12. But if you think this is okay, please send me something saying this is real, that I'm not just a girl trying to get photos. Thanks so much for reading. Katie Kennedy, Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey."
Wow.
It's real, Katie. 12-year-old Katie, this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, my mom is an editor and a writer, and she would Abby Fuhrer sent that to me. We were driving, me and Jill. And when I first read it, I was like, this is so embarrassing. There's no way that this is me. And then I asked my mom, and my mom was like, oh yeah, you were sending letters all the time. So I was like using, and then I would like give them to my mom, and she would like edit them so they made sense, and then be like, yeah, send it off. And then so she'd be like, yeah, you were sending letters like all the time. And it's funny that got published. I blocked that out of my memory or something. But yeah, and that was to Pat Bridges, I guess, at Snowboarder. And I got to find the actual issue because he responds to them. So I'm really curious about what he responded to that 12-year-old girl that I didn't have a camera or anything, but
It was all a lie. It was all a lie.
I guess you can say I'm a photographer.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so beautiful though too, because now, years down the pipeline, who's your boss?
yeah, I know. It's really crazy. It feels like, there's been something inside of me that always like wanted to be a part of the space in whatever way I could be, whether it's a photographer or
Air quote photographer.
yeah, that I didn't become a photographer. But yeah, so I really was like, I really thought that this is what I wanted to do.
And for those who don't know, Pat Bridges, who we were talking about, who Katie did send the letter to back then, is the boss that she's now working for, correct?
Yeah, correct. He is my boss.
Yep.
Correct.
So let's fast forward a little bit. I want to talk about Plymouth State University, or I think it might have been Plymouth State College back then, if I remember correctly. Or was it?
It was a university when
Oh,
I
it
went
was.
there.
Okay.
No big deal.
A lot of notable names came out of that place. How would you say that helped shape who you are today?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was like deciding if I should go to school or what, and like applied to a bunch of schools that were like close to resorts, and I like visited like Boulder, fell asleep during that presentation. Too many kids, too big a lecture hall. So I visited all these schools. Plymouth is I don't you can fact check me, but it's like the closest to a mountain from, like, you could get out of class and be at Loon in 20 minutes. So that was kind of like my motive. And then I went there to visit, and I was like, oh, this is like a cool little school. There's not that many kids. Like, I feel like I could like make friends here. Some of the bigger schools are like definitely a little daunting. And it was like pretty inexpensive comparatively to like the bigger like schools around there. I did get into UNH, Pat, just so you know. But yeah, really my motive was like, oh, I could snowboard pretty quickly here. I know they have good parks. Never really been to don't really know the snowboard scene in New Hampshire. And then like super organically started freshman year, making friends, was friends with a bunch of the ski racers. And then we started partying with Mike Rav and that crew. And I was like, oh, we just kind of met each other before I had even known that it was such a big place to be for a snowboarder. And yeah, went to snowboard formal that year, which was crazy. We all in
Bridget said you were you like to claim that you're the first female in the Plymouth State Snowboard Club.
Yeah. I will in my 4 years. So yeah, kind of in a lot of things that happened in my life, kind of just found myself there, with the right people at the right time, where this group of snowboarder boys, the Snowboard Club, I guess, were really on one, I guess. They were making the Keep the Change, and they were doing Lunatics, and they were so into doing it their own way in their own little space. So I didn't really know much about filming snowboarding or snowboarding bigger picture before going to Plymouth State. I kind of just, knew the contest scene in a sense of how to become a pro snowboarder. So once I started to hang out with those kids, then I was oh, there's so much more to snowboarding than just doing events. And but yeah, that totally shaped so much of my snowboarding, or who I am in general. Maybe less of my snowboarding and more of me socially in snowboard spaces. But yeah, I met Mike, and Cole St. Martin was a really good friend of mine, and Johnny O'Connor, and kind of just started snowboarding with those guys. And yeah, then I learned so much about Plymouth, once I was already there, which was, T-Bird went there, Preston went there, so many people that I had, once I found out, who they were, I was oh, that's something that I kind of would, want to do someday, or, these are, it's, kind of a shoe-in in some ways if you survive Plymouth State. And
what was your major?
It was marketing with a focus in sales, which is kind of, I would say a lot of majors are kind of BS, but I do. I do them.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think school was great for me. I think that the independence, and then being able to find how I can merge, snowboarding and what I'm doing in school all in one place was made the biggest difference.
Hard-hitting question. Mount Rushmore, Plymouth State alumni, 4 people. Who you got?
Mike Rav, Johnny O'Connor, Cole St. Martin. I honestly, I speak a lot from things that I know personally. I would say Luke Giacopelli. He's kind of Luke. The snowboard club thing is kind of funny because they would go on this trip to Jay Peak, and they'd stay at Grandpa Grunt's, who I think started some snowboard brand. I don't know. It was like a pirate ship of a hostel. And all the boys would be like, this is so crazy. It's the best trip of the year. And then I'd be hanging out with them I want to go. And then they're like, I don't know, if a girl can come. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm coming. It was $40, and they were getting this sick trip. And then I went, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? They were eating goldfish out of the fish tank, and
actual fish.
Actual fish.
Actual fish.
Yep, that makes
Wow.
sense. Yep.
All right.
I had my own room with a water bed and a mirror ceiling.
Your own room, huh?
Yeah, with a lock on it.
There's probably been people in there before.
Yep, and it was just so crazy and so much fun. And then I was that's why I just joke that I was the first girl on the Plymouth State snowboard team because I was like, I'm coming on this trip. And then I was like, what the frick? Yeah, they did like a bunch of like freshman challenges where the freshmen would do like crazy stuff.
Hazing.
Yeah, hazing.
It's like a frat house.
It was totally hazing.
Yeah.
And then I would be like, feel so bad about what was going on. Like,
Did they haze you?
in their own way. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Wait, one thing I want to say, because it's been on the tip of my tongue, is everything that you've set up into this point is really inspiring and cool because it's just been like this can-do attitude thing. You're like, I'm going to write a letter, or I'm going to do this rail jam. No idea what it is, but here I am, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to win, regardless if I'm the only girl. And then you want to go on the boys' trip, you're like, well, sucks to suck, I'm coming. You better make room. And that's really cool. And I think that's a really important part to you and why you are where you are.
Totally, yeah. I kind of have been that way for as long as I can remember.
I know. One of the first times I met Katie, actually, we were at the skate park, and Mike Rav actually introduced us, and it was like me and one other girl that would go to the skate park at this time, and Katie shows up from New Jersey, and I'm like, oh, it's Mike's friend Katie from New Jersey, and I was doing something, and Katie just looks at me and goes, what'd you just do? And I was like, I don't know what it was, like some sort of shove-it variation over coping. Katie's like, looks at me and goes, I can do that. And just probably on a borrowed skateboard, like drops in. And I just remember being like, yeah, we're going to be friends.
But yeah, I mean, Plymouth eventually led me to Utah. But yeah, there's been a lot of, from Plymouth on, it's been so many decision-making and moves and things like that I've kind of been like, why did I do that? But it all makes sense in the end. In the end of 31, it's the end.
Now, do you find yourself slowing down a little bit in your older age, maybe getting off hill a little earlier? Well, you could be dehydrated. 75% of Americans are dehydrated. And that goes up when you're at elevation, when you're in the mountains. So I drink Bubs Hydrate or Die hydration packets. There's 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes. There's no added sugar. There's no artificial flavors. And let me tell you, when I'm hydrated, I ride better. I can ride longer. I have more energy. All in all, my vitality is just better. So if you're interested in picking up some Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die, head on over to bubsnaturals.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE for 20% off your order. And stay hydrated, people, with Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die. Let's talk about Joey's Footbeds by Joey Stanko. He's a snowboarder and a master boot fitter, and he cares about snowboarding, its culture, its community. He came out for Bombhole Cup last year, and he is an incredibly passionate person, and he has a company that you should support. Let me tell you why. He's backed with over 15 years experience in the field of boot fitting with a daily job of preventing pain in snowboarders and skiers' feet. Also, sidebar, a lot of my friends who are pro snowboarders run these footbeds, including myself, and absolutely love them. So these footbeds feature Netsu 3D technology, providing your feet with arch support, dampening, and comfort, meaning less unwanted pressure in your ankles and knees while locking in your heel. Midfoot comfort technology allows you the maximum room for your toes and the width of your foot. These footbeds mold naturally to your feet when you ride them. They're also fully and adjustable and tweakable by your local boot fitter. So jump on joeysfootbeds.com and order yourself a pair today. Joey's Footbeds is a proud supporter of Bombhole Cup and a Patreon member. Support the little guy, Joey's Footbeds. And to be honest, he has one simple goal with this product, is to get people in the right gear so they have the best possible experience snowboarding. That's true. Joey cares, man. So check out joeysfootbeds.com. Get some custom footbeds. It'll make your snowboard experience that much better. You spend a lot of time in these boots. Get the right footbeds.
It seemed to me, from my perspective, you kind of had a job in the industry before you had a lot of support sponsor-wise, right? Is that correct? And
Yeah. It's been like a kind of a rising tide in some ways, which I kind of like have been like pretty like gung-ho about like this balance between like passion and personal like growth and well-being. And like when I was at Plymouth, my background is like I would compete in like USASA and Rev Tours and like did pretty good with that. And then kind of that wasn't really for me. And then went to Plymouth and like, Avert Goldemont gave me some K2 boards and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you can be like sponsored and just riding with your friends. And then, but at the same time of me like riding at Loon and, getting clips for whatever little videos, I was like super into like getting good grades and like networking and seeing like using school as like an opportunity to like find my career path as well. So that's when I started becoming a recruiter, or that's how I got into recruiting, which I guess I could go into that.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of where it started.
Yep.
But so yeah, then I was at Plymouth, and junior year, I'm like, everyone's telling me like you can't get a job after school. And I was like, I think it's going to be pretty easy.
Can-do attitude, that's what I'm saying.
Or not, everyone's like all worried about what to do after school. So I was like, okay, well, I got a year and a half to figure it out. I'm a junior. And this guy, Mike Mechanic, who I ended up working for multiple times in my life so far, came into class and did like a presentation on it was a real life sales class. It was like professional selling 2 or something. And he like came in and we would just have people come in and describe their job, like real life jobs, I guess. And his job was a recruiter for this really big fashion company that did like Polo, Ralph Lauren, Gap, all these different like true fashion brands. And he had started this like little niche thing in this big company for like outdoor companies. So on the screen, it was like, I placed the CEO of Volcom and all these companies that I was really familiar with and wanted to learn more. And at the end of his presentation, he was like, I just moved to New Hampshire with my family. I work remotely. I'm looking for an intern. And then I was like, oh, I want this internship. So I just like hit him up. I started interning for him and as a recruiter, and did that for a year and a half before I graduated. And that was like super eye-opening to me. I was just going into it like, oh, I can learn about all these jobs because there's so many jobs out there that you don't really learn about, or you don't even know that they exist, especially in the action sports space. Like, everything that we wear and do has like a bunch of jobs tied to it. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll do this internship and be like, I want to be a product marketing manager or a communications director. I was just like super open-minded to like learning about these jobs. So he would like help me like learn about the jobs, and then I would make some calls. And basically by the time I was ready to graduate school, I went to New York City and was offered a job to work for them under him for this outdoor part of the brand. So yeah, I was like, yeah, it was easy to get a job. But I ended up being pretty good as a recruiter because you just talk to people on the phone and you like kind of just learn about their motives for their life, whether it's like what they want in their career or just like personal things, like, like you call somebody and they're like, I really want to move back to the West Coast, and because that's where my family is. And then you're like kind of like putting the puzzle pieces together. And so yeah, they didn't just hire me because I was like willing and able, but because it kind of was like a natural fit. But I mean, when I graduated college, I was 21 years old. So I did that for a year and had some like pretty cool moments. It's like any job, it's like sales especially is so like draining in some ways. It's like highs and lows. Like you place somebody and then someone, declines the job, and it's very like eat what you kill mentality. That's what they told me, and I felt that. And then also working for that fashion like umbrella, they would kind of like bring me in on some other roles that I wasn't too into. I play some like active designer at Gap and things, which was super cool. But at that age, I was a little bit like, is this my life? Like, I have to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning? That's crazy. Like, I want to sleep in. So I was like, hey, Mike, I'm only 21. I'm not really ready for this just yet. So, but we left on great terms because it came back eventually again. And then what do? You hit up Mike Rav and you say, what's up? I'm quitting my job. And he's like, oh, I have a room for you in Salt Lake. And then within a year of graduating and working as a recruiter, then I moved to Salt Lake City and lived with Mike and Christian Bueling and Kevin Court. And my mom was like, 3 boys? You're going to go live with them? And I was like, yeah, it's going to be so chill. And I haven't done that since, really. But yeah, then I moved to Salt Lake and kind of, if college was like me figuring out like career stuff, then like this was a chance for me to figure out like how snowboarding could fit into that, because I still loved snowboarding and like wanted that to be as big of part of my life as anything. So that's when, that was 2016. I was 23. Yep.
At what point, what was your first job within the industry? The kind?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Colleen, Jill was writing.
She was a great +1 for a lot of years.
Yeah. So, I guess so then I move here, meet Jill, Desiree. I'm like, this is sick. I'm not making any money though. And I've been working since I was like 12. So I'm like, I gotta be making money, mainly because I like spending money. And I just couldn't see at that point in my life, like how I would make money as a snowboarder. Like maybe because I didn't want to like do it that same way or something. I just was like curious and still like passionate about career stuff, like from a true business standpoint. Like I wasn't totally sold on like that being like the only way to snowboard a lot. So then then I worked at camp, and that really was like, I'm making no money.
Yeah.
High Cascade or Wendell's?
High Cascade. Yeah. I went to, then I was snowboarding all winter, and Jill was like, you got to work at camp. It's so sick. And I was like, okay, I'll work in the kitchen. And I kind of like I went to camp that year and like tried every snowboard that they could let me try. And then was like, I like Mervin's the best. And that's how I ended up like riding for them.
Research and development.
Yeah, I did a lot of, yep.
Product test.
Yeah.
And then, but then I ended camp with like absolutely no money. And yeah, I think camp would have been sick, or it was sick. I wouldn't take anything back, but maybe if I was like a teenager working at camp.
Yeah.
But I was 23, like making like $60 a week. But got to snowboard a bunch, obviously. And then from there, I think I moved back home.
Yeah, I think, are you looking at me? You want me to fill in a couple gaps here?
But what happened? Oh, no, don't. Then we lived still with Mike and...
Yeah, we lived with Mike for a year. I moved in to join the escapade, really. And then you were working up in Park City.
Yep.
And also Katie's work, I've seen Katie will work in kitchens, restaurants, all these things, mostly serving, but just like grinding to get the money that she can to do the things that she likes. And, camp, when you're left with $27.15 at the end of the summer, you got to get a job up in Park City. And so you did that for a while. And
yeah.
I think your mentality was for a while, and I'll say this to lead up to the next question that I have is, there was a phase, I've known you for a long time now, and there was a phase where security, and making sure that your fallback was like you were safe and comfortable in what you were doing. And so snowboarding, as much as you loved it, it wasn't your priority at the time because you wanted to make sure that you felt secure, and whether it be money or friends or, family, stuff like that. And I guess what I'm wondering is, when did you finally just accept that I'm good at this, I like to do this, and this is what I want to do, as in snowboarding?
I don't know. Maybe. So I guess like I did from the time I worked at camp till there's like so much in there. But honestly, you know what really did it was COVID in a weird way.
Sure.
Or like it was like kind of the brightness of that whole like everything's shut down. You have nothing. What do you want to be doing? And I immediately was like, oh, I'm going to hang out in California with Jill, Nora, and Nicole.
Easy answer, really.
Yeah, like-
the only option.
And then, so once like, yeah, that COVID thing happened, that's like, it kind of, I think it made a lot of people think like, what am I doing? What is the point of all this? And so then we immediately went on a road trip to Mount Hood and Colorado.
Yeah, Woodward,
and,
Copper, yeah.
And I kind of just lived the life that if I didn't have any responsibilities, I would do. And then once I was doing it, I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, and you really shouldn't force your friends to do things. But I know there's a couple years because Katie was also a guiding light for me, like my best friend when I was coming up. And I remember Katie moved back one year and I would beg her all the time to the point where she basically ghosted me and was annoyed with me calling her all the time. But I would send her photos, which I want to find for this, but it would be like pro athletes, but with Katie's head cut out on it. Like, this could be you. Like, you could do this. And she was like, Jill, shut the fuck up. Like, leave me alone. And then look at you now.
Yeah, I think I could be happy anywhere. And that's always been like a good thing. But also I like sometimes need to like really be like, okay, but where are you like the happiest? Like I could be like, on Wall Street slinging stock markets right now and being like, this is sick. But yeah, I'm definitely the happiest snowboarding.
Slanging stock markets. It's a good thing to be selling. It's a good thing to be selling. Yeah. A lot of money in that. Well, I want to go back to your recruiting because it does come full circle. I know you did dip your toe back into recruiting, and I think we should talk about the success story that's Silk D.
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room.
The success of the bomb hole, really.
Yeah.
We kind of owe it all to you, Katie.
I know. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
fill the listeners in.
Yeah.
So yeah, as a recruiter, just to like clarify some things, we work for the company. Like, I guess before I was a recruiter, I would think that if you're looking for a job, you like hit up a recruiter, which you totally can do, but that's not their job. Is to like find people that don't have a job. They work for, say, the bomb hole in their positions that they're trying to fill. So anyway, I move back into the snowboard world, and I reach out to my old boss, Mike, who's still a recruiter. And I'm like, hey, I am leaving the Jersey Shore. I moved back to the Jersey Shore to live with my grandma just to like, stack some dough and spend time with Nami. And but when I was like thinking about what I really want to be doing, I hit him up and he was like, oh, I actually started my own like independent recruiting firm. We have a couple cool clients. I would really love your help. Like, it'd be super easy to get you onboarded because you've already done this and like we got a rapport. So then during COVID, I started working for Mike, and it was during when like the outdoor space was absolutely booming. So we were like super busy. And that was like, I was like, whoa, I'm making good money. And like, I get to do like, it's all remote. I'm a contract worker. It was definitely like a lot of working. I worked in some crazy situations. Like, we would be driving across the country going on a rail trip, and I'd just be like, Jill, I have to take calls the entire time. But which is great. Thanks. Shout out to my friends because they became invested in everybody's career journey as well.
Yeah, you learn to clock the dead zones around the city and the mountain passes. Time those calls around that.
So yeah, so there was definitely a different balance back then. But and so yes, for I don't know, probably 2 years, I was back in the recruiting role working with Mike. And Chris had heard that I was a recruiter, and I think your sister's a recruiter, right?
Sister's a recruiter, yes.
Yeah, so he knew the value and the like all the work that goes into actually making a good placement which it doesn't, when you're in the flow of it, you're kind of like, oh, like I'm just filling jobs. Like, or when you break it down, it seems kind of simple, but getting the right people in right jobs makes like all of the difference. I think if you statistically, like if you make a wrong hire, you lose like double their salary. So spending a little bit more money on having someone like find a good pool of candidates is worth it. And it's like there's a lot of like little work that goes into getting those candidates. You screen a bunch of people. Yeah, it's like the classic thing where you make like 100 calls for 3 of them to be good fits. And yeah, the bigger companies have like full-time recruiters and HR staff, but like Baumhold doesn't have a recruiter on staff.
Not yet. Nope.
So yeah, Chris, he heard that I was a recruiter, and we just had a call, and I was like, yeah, I could do this for you. I think it's a little bit harder when it's like Silk was like just out of college. Mm-hmm. So a lot of recruiting is like stalking, LinkedIning. So when you're hiring like someone that's like, outerwear designer, head of outerwear designer, you kind of just type in outerwear designer, all of the competition, and it's like way easier. These are like adults that have like learned how to market themselves on LinkedIn and things like that. So this role was a little bit trickier in the sense that like a lot of the people that are just graduating from college maybe don't know how to like put themselves in the right place, the right searches for stalking. And yeah, Chris was just like, yeah, I'm looking for somebody that's like young and loves it and like really is passionate about work, where it's not going to be like pulling teeth to like get them to put in the extra little bit to make something cool, because it's a growing company. Startups are, it's cool because you can do anything you want, but you got to work. You can do anything you want, but like you have to do it.
Yeah.
So, and then I made a bunch of calls, and a lot of people were like maybe a little bit too, I guess entitled would be a good way to describe them. Not just like, oh, like I film, BMX, like, and I'm expensive. End of conversation. But then I talked to Silk on the phone, and he was like, I know the bomb hole. Like, you used to work at the college. Did you make videos for your college crew or something?
Yeah, I was on the snowboard team at Sacramento State, and I was like the video guy there.
Yeah, I was like, perfect. Randomly perfect. I didn't know your name was Silk, though.
No, yeah, that wasn't on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, so Silk. And then, yeah, we set up like you coming out here. It was super easy once you guys had the first conversation, which was like, that's like a recruiter's dream, because usually I have to like book flights and stuff for people.
Oof.
Yeah.
How was the call from Katie, Silk?
That call was fucking sick, because yeah, I'd already been listening to the Bomb Hole, and I was definitely into it. I wasn't like a super fan or nothing, but I knew of it, so that was really cool to just feel like I was like, oh, I already know about these guys, And I was like just getting ready to move to South Lake Tahoe. I was like a day away from signing a lease at an apartment, and I was going to work doing like photo stuff at Heavenly Ski Resort. And then Katie called, and I was like, yeah, this is way more interesting than what I had lined up. So
yeah, it's super cool to like, because you if I've ever placed anybody else, I don't know where they're at right now, but now I know Silk.
What sold you on Silk? Was it the nice voice, the radio voice, or?
I think it was just like he just had the perfect experience. Like still green.
Look him in the eye when you're talking about him.
Yeah,
he was just like ready. So you were just like, you were easy to talk to. You like answered my emails, which is, I would say,
nice. Yeah, bar is pretty high.
Yeah, bar is pretty high. I think that you were just at a good spot in your life, and you were like excited for something new and wanted to like make the best of whatever was next. And I think that like really aligned with what Chris was looking for. Just someone that was like, yeah, this sounds cool. Like, how do we make it cool? I'm ready to do whatever. But it's cool to see how like it impacted your life. I mean, and the bomb hole in general.
Happy customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you never really like follow through with what people are doing. Really, sometimes you like hit them back up on LinkedIn, but yeah, that was like a really close placement. So I'm psyched it worked out.
About Silk is that when we flew him out, we vetted him. Mm-hmm. We had like a little everybody get together. We had a little barbecue.
They all crossed their arms and kind of looked me up and down.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, like I wasn't all in on Silk.
That's what I heard. I've been told.
Everybody else was like, I'm down for Silk, and then best hire ever though. It ended up working out, but at first I was like, I don't know.
I kind of was like, Chris, you're looking for like a unicorn of a kid. You're looking for a baby kid adult that flies and also doesn't want to fly because we got to have him in the office all the time. I was like, I think Silk might be.
Yeah, it was the perfect hire.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really cool moment. That was probably like one of my last hires because around the same time, I had been like doing a bunch of side hustle stuff, like with Colleen Quigley, who's just like so cool. But I was chilling with Jill a lot. We were roommates of a sense. And Colleen was like, oh, does Katie want to run the Decline social media? And I was like, sure, I can do that. And then somehow Pat Bridges thought I was like running a bunch of Decline web traffic stuff. And he called me when I was still a recruiter and was like, hey, do you want to run the social media for Slush? And I was like, sure, why not? And then that's how like that whole thing started. And then I kind of had to make a decision at one point about what I wanted to do.
And you went with?
I went with Slush, yep.
Well, talking to Bridges, he kept bringing up, your position, you're supposed to be pretty good at spelling. And there's often grammatical errors on some of the copy. And we're going to do, I think it's a bomb hole first here. I think we're going to get into the first ever bomb hole spelling bee.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Jill versus Katie.
Oh my
I will
god!
be
Oh my
keeping
gosh!
score.
I didn't know I was involved.
Yeah, you're involved.
Yeah. Surprise.
And there's 6 words each, all snowboard related. Some are names, some are tricks.
Yep.
And we tried to make it even, but
We'd
couldn't
rather
give you
just
the same
wrestle.
words.
Well, now that I'm versing Jill, I'm going to take this way more serious.
Yeah, that's a classic thing.
Yeah, spelling has never been my strong suit. I remember like being super anxious about spelling bees.
Yeah, get anxious.
Yeah, perfect.
that's what we like to see. Do you guys want to run through wall smelling salt before the spelling bee?
Known to
If I had these in
spelling.
if I had to run through raw smelling salts in 3rd grade before my spelling bee.
Well, it's actually a
Game
recommended
over.
18 plus. So
Oh, sorry, no 3rd graders.
She was working at 11, so it
she's
doesn't
working at
matter.
11,
Yeah.
under the table.
It was totally under the table.
Okay. Okay. We need you sharp for this. We need you guys locked in. Oh God. Okay. Who's going first, Silk?
I was going to leave it up to them. Who wants to go first?
I'm older. Don't get it twisted. I'm older.
So that means first?
Yeah.
Okay. First word. This is for Katie. Photographer.
PHOTOGRAPHER.
That is correct.
That was good.
That could have been an
Yeah.
easy
Hit the
out.
ground running.
I'm a visual. I need like a. Okay, they don't
Yeah,
get those.
no visuals.
They don't do that in spelling bees.
They
though.
don't do those. in
No,
photos,
yeah. No.
It's not a thing.
Yeah, this is by the book.
No. Okay.
All right, Jill. Your words
No.
are Zoe Sadowski Sinnott.
Oh gosh.
ZOISYDOTT. Am I already wrong? He's already on. He's already
Skipped
hovering.
over
Oh,
Sadowski.
What was the last word right? Zoe Sinnott.
I don't think so.
I can join
threw-
them.
You kind of like got lost.
There's
Can you say it a little slower? ZOI.
Use
That's
it in-
correct.
Use it in a sentence.
Zoe Sadowski Sinnott
Oh, I thought it was the opposite. Sorry,
is
Zoe.
an incredible snowboarder.
Okay.
You can ask him to use it in a sentence.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
field questions. It's fine.
Sadowski. don't
Let's-
just
yeah,
start it.
yeah.
Sadowski. SYD. Okay.
That was a hard one.
That is a
Yeah,
tough
I
one.
have a feeling this
but
is how it's
it'll-
gonna go. Okay.
It will balance out throughout, Do I spell it correctly or
Yeah, please. Yes. Synot is SYNOTT.
two N's?
Two N's, one T?
Two of both.
Okay.
Two of both. And then Sadowski, SADOWSKI. Sadowski.
I just call her Zoe. I just call her the goat, is what I call her.
You got the first name right.
GOAT.
That would actually be correct.
Yeah, we would have accepted that. All right, Katie, your words. Sage Kotzenberg.
Okay. Sage as in the culinary herb. SAGE space Kotzenberg. KOTENSBERG.
I'm sorry.
Oh, what the?
Don't you be writing these names down?
KOTSEN. It's BERG, right?
Nope, you're both wrong. That's great.
Okay.
Isn't it KOTSENBURG?
Yep.
Oh, it's Berg.
It's
Yeah.
Kotzenberg.
No points for you, Jill, for that one.
That's
Sorry.
all right. That's
but
all right.
You're up. Spencer Schubert.
SP. Spencer Schubert. SPENCER. Schubert. SCHUBERT.
That is correct.
Oh, nice.
We're all tied
That's
up.
a tricky one.
That is a tough one.
He spells it like shoe on his
Yeah, but if
Instagram.
you get it wrong,
Joke.
he yells at you.
Yeah,
and
true.
so this really, I just,
Yeah, handles would be in a whole nother category.
yeah.
All right, Katie, your name is Elena Height.
Okay, Elena. ELENA. Height. HIGHT.
That is correct.
Wow. Nice.
You were so serious.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, Elena Height was on the cover, so I should know how to spell that.
Got it. All the work's paid off. Jill,
Yes.
your word is Arcteryx.
Arcteryx. ARC. Wait, yeah. ARCTYRX. Am I missing an E?
You are missing an E.
I knew it.
It's heating up.
We could have done some like simple math addition.
We could do that
This
after.
is recommended
All right,
by
you know-
Bridges and Stan.
I'm
Bridges
actually
and Stan.
I get it. I get why you misspell things.
I know.
My bad, homie.
Yeah. It's a fast world we're living in. Spelling is not the main priority.
That's right.
Just gotta get the main points. All right, Katie. Dinosaurs will die.
Dinosaurs.
We're stupid.
DINOASAURS. Oh,
I know I saw.
oh man.
It's a tricky word.
It is
a
a tough
tricky
one.
word.
It's a tough one.
Tricky word.
It's easy to sit here laughing when you're not a part of the show. All right, Jill, focus up.
Okay.
Ayumu Hirano.
AYUMOHIRANO.
That is correct.
No, she spelled the first name wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What?
You said that it ends in a O, it ends in a U.
Did I?
I believe so.
Did I?
Can,
Did I?
I thought you got it
we
right.
can have the listeners rewind about 15 seconds and double check, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you ended it with O.
Ayumu?
There's no way I did that. I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, we'll
Like,
find out.
I thought you got it right. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
don't-
I'll be editing this very soon, so we can. I'll get back to you.
Ooh, is
Get
that
back
an
to you.
Oh? Okay, we'll see.
okay.
You might have to come up with it.
I'll give you a half point, and
Thank you.
I'll update the score on the screen if I'm incorrect.
Silk's usually on it, I got to say.
I am usually on it. It was
That's
hired.
right, that's
I
a good
was
hire.
hired. Yep, it was a good hire. So maybe let's just trust me. Katie, Your name is Chuan Lee.
AKA Lil Key Taki.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Chuan?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that
What the
right.
Quan?
What the Quan?
Some people say Chon Lee.
Chuan Lee.
Okay, that's. Let's see. We'll see.
CHON.
Yep.
These are impossible.
CHAEUN space LEE.
Yeah, these are tough.
How many more do we got?
A ton. There's a ton more.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yep. Your word is lean air.
I want to say LEAN. AIR, but is it the other one?
It is LIEN. It is
Why?
Neil backwards.
Yes, lean air came from Neil Blender. Neil backwards is lean.
No, I literally thought it was like lean,
Yeah.
but my bad.
But Neil
bad.
Blender backwards. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that one.
Damn.
That was a tricky one.
That was a tricky one.
These
All right. Yeah, that was a
are, to
history
be fair,
lesson.
these are all tricky ones.
Okay, I'm sweating. Keep
The
going.
last two are not gettable.
Yeah,
for the
we're
record. They're
we're
impossible.
almost there. We just have a
Last
bunch
two.
more names.
Who's winning?
Yeah, what's the score update?
Well,
kind of a
you know,
gray
right?
area.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. Right now, I have it down as Jill with 1.5, Katie with 2.
Okay.
But that will be corrected on the screen for
Okay.
the viewers, and we have no idea though. Katie, your name is Marcus Cleveland.
Spell it like the way or the other way?
That is the question.
MARC. It's K?
It is C.
Oh, it is? Shit. I'm sorry.
CUS?
Yes.
Okay, that's
The
my bad.
last name.
KLEVAND.
No.
Cleve.
I think
There
that's
was no
right.
L in
That's
there.
correct.
right.
Did you
There
say
is.
L?
Cleveland, yeah.
You said L?
No, I did. That's my bad.
She got it.
I bought
got
you.
it.
Got it.
Well, there's.
I didn't hear you say L, but again, I am clearly.
I think I heard the L.
I said
Well,
I
L.
trust you. Okay.
Again, viewers, you can rewind just a few seconds.
I'm an idiot.
Well, yeah, there's other Marcuses with the K.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
All good. Jill, your name is Jake Kuzik.
JAKE. Kuzik. KUZYK.
Correct.
Thank you.
Nice.
That was a hard one.
ZYK.
Yeah.
I actually was about to buzzer you, but I just got it wrong.
All right. Katie, Savannah Shinsky.
Oh, Savannah. SAVANNAH.
Only one N.
Oh, Savannah.
Oh, Savannah.
Savannah, sorry. I know your name.
All right, last two. These
Last
are
two. These
impossible.
are
Let's hit another salt for these ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys are.
I'm sniffing my empties over
you
here,
guys are
feeling like a
also
fiend, dude.
real quick.
Thank you.
I felt like I was wrong on Savannah, so I just looked it up. You are correct.
It's Savannah.
It is two N's.
Yeah,
And
it
it's-
is two
okay,
N's.
Let me finish. SHINSKE.
Correct.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Oh my gosh,
My
we're gonna have
apologies.
to cut this whole
disaster.
thing.
This is a disaster.
This is exactly how it was intended
This
to
is
go.
a disaster.
and it's
production flaw.
only going to get better from here.
Also, just want to say this is Jill Perkins and Katie Kennedy, the simplest names to spell ever. So, yeah, we're
Cheers
doomed.
to that.
We're doomed.
Cheers.
You're going to need a salt for this last one.
You don't eat it.
You know I like to smell things really.
Yeah, intensely. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, last one. Jill,
Yeah.
your word is Rick Granson.
Rick Scranton.
Rick Scranson.
Good luck.
Silk doesn't even know how to say it. If you're the
Rick Scranson.
spelling bee guy, you gotta know how to say it.
Rick Scranton. RICKS. Rick's.
Nah.
Rick's grandson. RICKS. GRANDSON.
I always wanted to see Rick's grandson in real life.
I hope he's doing well.
All right, Katie. Your last name is Ulrich Boderster.
Ulrik.
I think that's correct, right? Yeah.
Bodisphere.
Again, pronunciation could be off a little bit.
I like to say Bogschlager, but I don't think that's
not going to help you here.
correct.
Don't do that.
Maybe give us another pronunciation.
Boderster.
Body.
I'm sorry. It is Badertscher.
Yep.
Obviously pronounced Boderster.
Yeah.
That's her spelling bee.
Nice.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you for playing.
We're not even sure who won, right?
I got Katie as winning, but could be
By what? By what?
anyone's game.
Just so we know.
By a 1.5.
Okay, so you've probably beat me by a half. I'm hoping that Silk's incorrect, but
We'll never know.
we'll never know.
Yep. Good.
Ayumu, dude. Who
Yeah,
spells Ayumu with an O?
I don't.
Maybe
think you
I
did.
did.
I don't think you did that.
I don't think I did that.
I would have.
If I did that, that's silly of me. Keep going.
If you didn't, sorry.
Before I start getting mad over here. Ayumo.
All right, we're going to talk about Arbor. I like what Arbor's got going on these days. They're doing big things. So Arbor has been making high-performance snowboards for nearly 30 years with a little thing called craftsmanship, and they do it with a conscience. These guys were on the sustainability tip long before it was cool, using real wood top sheets, eco-friendly materials, and giving a damn about the mountains and the planet. They're backed by one of the sickest teams out there. We're talking Jared Elston, a.k.a. Big Air Jer, Mary Francois, Red Gerard, who just won an X Games gold, Brian Iguchi, Danny Cass, and many others. Arbor Snowboarding is resetting the standard, blending high performance and sustainability with precision, power, and purpose. So whether you're straight lining like a psycho or going full dummy in the park, Arbor's got A-grade boards and bindings that you need to ride your best. So check out Arbor. They got a lot of cool stuff going on. All right, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite products, and that's the Yeti Ranchero backpack. Everybody knows Yeti makes the best stuff, but this backpack rules. Let me tell you why. I come to this office, we record podcasts. What do I need? I need my computer, I need my notebook, I need some pens, I need my charger. Sometimes after work, I want to go skateboarding, so I need my skate shoes. So I got a nice little compartment where I can keep my skate shoes separate from my work stuff with my laptop. Perfect for organization. It's also got a nice nylon shell, the tough skin, keeps everything dry if it's a rainy day. So there's no more digging through your backpack with this Yeti Ranchero. It's got a cutting-edge rip-zip opening that lets you quickly tear into the bag and see the stuff you need in seconds. And for even more convenience, it's got a vertical zipper that allows you to grab gear at the bottom of the backpack without having to unpack the top. That's major for me. So check out Yeti.com or a retail store near you and get yourself the Yeti Ranchero backpack. It's a heater. All right, listen up, bombhole people. I'm going to talk to you guys about the Grande speaker from Turtlebox that they just sent us. And this thing slaps, dare I say. It's very loud. It's incredible. So it's essentially a bigger, louder, more badass speaker with the same durability as the Gen 2 seen behind me here. It's a 10-inch waterproof woofer versus the 6-inch on the Gen 2. It's got two Class D amplifiers and a 1.25-inch waterproof titanium tweeter. And this thing bumps. It's got a maximum volume of 126 decibel, and it's got the brand's signature low distortion outdoor sound. It's got party mode, which allows you to wirelessly sync 100 plus Grande speakers together via Bluetooth 5.4. We're talking 100 speakers, all connected. And one thing that I have to say is that the battery lasts forever on these things. Really impressed with the battery life. If you're interested, they are available now for pre-order on turtleboxaudio.com, and they're shipping mid-February.
All right, we're going to fire up a guest question. This one's from Nicole Haas. House. I don't know how you say the last name. Haas. Nicole Haas.
Nicole Haas.
Yeah, okay, legendary skateboarder. Here we go.
What's up, Bombhole? This is Nicole. I hear you're interviewing my friend Sketchy Kate, and my question for her is, If she could only choose 5 people to party with for the rest of her life, who would they be and why? All right, Sketchy, choose wisely. Hoping to make this list.
Nicole wants to be on that list?
It's kind of fucked up to ask to be on the list.
Yeah.
You got to be asked.
Yeah.
You got to be selected.
Classic.
You got to be
Invite
chosen.
only.
I'd put Nicole on the list, though. I think you would, maybe not.
I think I would. So the thing about me is I have so many good people to party with. I've collected so many over my life. So this is I'm gonna have to be strategic about this because there's so many people that I wish it was 50 people, but that wasn't the question.
A lot of disappointed people that are going to be on this.
Yeah.
Listening.
Okay, well then I'll just go back to the COVID days when I was living
for the listeners,
when I was living with Nicole, and we partied every day doing absolutely nothing. So that's like a good indicator of like if every day was the same, who was around me. So that would be Nicole made the list. Chloe Darche, nobody probably knows her that's listening except for Chloe Darche. Jill Perkins, Nora Vasconcelos, and Steffi Luxton.
Woo! Elite.
Yep. And yeah, that's all for different reasons. And there's other places, everyone listening that I party with, you know who you are. Stan, what about him? There's going to be different islands that I go back and forth from.
She's not throwing parties, she's throwing ragers.
I actually have a note here. I think this is from Steffi and said, ask about the joint birthday party in Oceanside.
Yeah. Oh,
Same
perfect.
summer, yeah.
So yeah, during the summer of when we couldn't do anything but hang out with each other, me, Nicole, Steffi, Mimi, Noop, Nora, but those were the 4 birthday parties.
Oh, the birthdays, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was kind of in like the heart of COVID a bit, so we were like kind of breaking the rules, but we were all kind of living at Nora and Nicole's house in Oceanside, which had a pool and a half pipe and a park down the street from their house. So we decided that we were going to throw like a conjoined birthday party between a bunch of us, and it was going to be like dress up like however you want to be. So like some of us had like jerseys on, some of us had like gems on our face.
Yeah, the 2 types, jerseys or glitter.
Yeah.
And some people mix and match.
Yeah. And then it ended up being like a field day style event where you were paired up in teams of 2. And these are all like athletes. Like, you know, we're talking about professional action sporters teaming up and versing each other. And yeah, this was my idea. So I used like a randomizer and put all these names in there. And we had like, who were some of like the random, like Samaria was there and
Sarah, I think Sarah was there. There was a couple third party
there was
assets, I would say. And they were great. We needed them for the games. We had long jump.
Yeah. Pool Boy Olympics is what I was kind of referencing.
Yeah.
And then, so we all paired up in teams, and Jill and Nora somehow ended up on a team, and that was like super unfair.
Yeah, she was hitting the randomizer a couple more times, but
but that was, I ended up with a dud. So I knew
who was your partner? Do you remember?
A little bit of a. Yeah.
Oh, I remember who your partner was.
It was just a random girl that Jill brought, basically, and I ended up with her. And I was like, I'm already gonna lose this event, so I better perform differently with, drinking and funny stuff. So so then the party kind of took a different direction. So then we all compete. Jill and Nora win. It was like water balloon toss, long jump,
dizzy bat,
the classics. And then this is all in the daylight. And then at night...
Limbo. We did limbo, too. That was really the tiebreaker. Nora got the limbo winner.
Yeah. Give these group of girls a challenge, and they'll take it really seriously. And then earlier that day, I was like, wouldn't it be cool? Like, has anyone ever had a male stripper? Wouldn't that be so cool? And then everyone's like, we need to get a male stripper. Like, we haven't seen a boy in years. It's COVID. And but we weren't really like, this is probably like before the energy drink contracts were really coming in there, so we didn't have a big.
It was a budget stripper.
It
was a local Vista. It was a Vista
no one was like putting this party on their back. We were like, I got maybe $50. So the like end of the party, a bunch of like boys end up coming, like Scott and Ika and Blake, and we basically, as soon as they came here, were like, you need to go outside and stay outside because there's a male stripper coming. And
there was rules. So the stripper showed up and said no boys allowed. And now at this point,
now we have boys there.
There was boys there.
So, but the best part about it was that Nora's mom, who was like always around, like we love Joan, and she is also quite gullible, I guess.
We've learned.
We've learned. So we call up the male stripper and we order him. And we're cutting the deal with him, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna come in a cop costume. I don't even know if I don't remember if we like saw the picture, if we get to like pick who it was, but we know Tony's coming in the night. So we're all like sitting there, and all of a sudden there's like someone that rings up the doorbell, and we're like, Joan, go get the door. And she's like, okay. She goes to get the door, and it's a cop. Obviously a cop. And he's like, you guys are partying too loud. And she's like, it's just the girl's birthday party. Like, don't worry. I'm an adult. And he's like, I'm going to need to check you, ma'am. And she's like, all I've got are my cigarettes. That's all I've got. And he starts like patting her down, and then all of a sudden is like stripping. And so we kick off the stripper part of the party after we've already competed in a field day event. So we're not even tired. This is like
just sweaty. We're just nice and sweaty for this stripper.
And we're looking real weird for this stripper. Like none of us are in like regular clothes. I'm in like a Hawaiian shirt.
No one's worn shoes for about 3 months.
Yeah. And so we started so then he starts stripping for Joan, and
that was a cute moment.
Yeah, that was cute. And we have like a couple singles. Like we're this guy's like worst nightmare, honestly. And then he's like playing this music that like isn't that really hitting for us, and we're a bunch of loud girls
who think we can do better than anything we see. Yeah. Basically, he was a terrible dancer.
Yeah, we're like
terrible.
So then once we all get like our round of strip dancing, then we start getting like mad at him because he stinks. Like we're like, so then we start calling him Lazy Tone. We're like, change the song, Lazy Tone. You've already done that move. And then he's just like, and we're just reusing our like $50 singles over and over again. We're like collecting them, throwing them back.
Someone's on floor duty.
Yeah, and seeing like Nicole being on the floor with Lazy Tone's
something about it.
Junk in her face was just like, we haven't done it since. But it's kind of one of those things that we're like, oh yeah, we got to do this. And that was kind of like, that was a good party.
It sounds insane. Are there any photos or videos that
I got some.
Consent to being in the show?
I don't know if we were able to film him. Oh no, we have a photo with him.
Yeah, we have photos for sure.
All right,
there was nothing worse than like a bad dancer. He was playing like Santana at some point, stripping, sweaty, glitter on his back from like being on the floor. It just was gross. It just got real gross, real weird.
Let's remember, you did pay for the budget stripper.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we paid for it.
Yeah, we paid for it.
And yeah, I guess what triggered this? I've seen some girl strippers, been to some girl strip clubs, and I've always just been like, oh, like we got to get a boy in there. And I don't think I would go budget again.
Does it make you now appreciate women strippers better than the male stripper?
Sure, there's an art to it, I guess.
Yeah,
that's an art. I've never felt I could be
hot takes, art or sport.
Good question.
That's a good question.
Is stripping an art form or a sport?
Yeah.
Sport. D1 strippers only from now on.
Some athletic prowess.
That was a really fun party. And that was in September, because that's our birthdays. And we're all Libras, so shout out Libras.
Another thing Steffi mentioned was maybe to talk about your most recent trip with a snowmobile trailer to McCall. I heard it was fantastic.
She told me that we wouldn't tell anybody about this. Okay. So Steffi and me have been growing together in our backcountry snowboarding and walking about as far as you could walk. Like, we've walked real far. And last year we kind of walked, I think, the farthest that you could walk and hit a jump and walk back. So this year, we're like, we need to get snowmobiles. So I bought a snowmobile from my friend Jay Stone, and I am like, we're bringing it to McCall right away. I just got a trailer. This is going to be so sick. And I'm like going back and forth, like, should I bring this? Like, this sounds like I literally just got this like 2 days ago. I don't even know this trailer. I don't know about it. And then we're like, no, we're going to bring it. This is a test. Like, we're going to use this as a test, a quick 8-hour drive through a mountain pass test. And nobody knows about this, but as soon as we like leave my house, I'm like, okay, it's on. The trailer's on. And we're gonna like get on the highway, and the sled detaches from my car.
The ratchet straps?
No, the
Or
hitch.
The hitch.
The trailer.
So you just had, did you have chains? Did you have chains?
Chains.
So it's just on the chains.
Okay. Thank God for the chains, dude.
And it's like going, like, I was waiting for like years to go by before I told this story. But Steffi did say that she would ask this on the bomb hole, and then I was like, oh crap, I guess I'm doing it next week. But so the sled's like kind of moving back and forth, and like I'm just such a good driver. I like go off to the side, and we like had not locked it onto the hitch. Crucial. This is crucial.
Lesson learned, though.
Like, so many people were watching over us. And then we like pull over. We like have a whole nother contemplation of like, do we bring the snowmobile? Like, so we put it back on, and we're like, we're gonna bring the snowmobile. We got this. Steffi did not drive once, so I didn't want her to either. So then we were like cruising along, just like honestly, like couldn't like this is like it was crazy. Like we definitely could have gotten in like a car could have came. It was just like perfectly just stripped it to the side of the road.
Oh God.
Yeah, we didn't want to tell anybody this, but yeah, this is what happened. Everyone said, get a trailer, get a sled. It'll be all good.
And did you keep going?
Yeah, we kept going. We made it all the way to Boise. And then I'm like, something's looking a little weird with the tire. And we're in the parking lot. And this is when you start to go to, like, there's about a 2-hour drive from Boise to McCall up this, like, pretty sketchy, like, windy mountain pass that I had been on with a trailer before, but not like so, like Amanda and Parker like put it on for me and all that stuff. So then I'm like looking at the trailer, like it looks a little lopsided, and I'm like, well, and and I'm asking Steffi to like double check my work. She's like, yeah, oh well. And then like I don't know, we probably make it like. Luckily, we make it like just right before the mountain path starts to turn into the mountain paths, because you like lose service a lot on that road, and it's dark, and right before we like actually get on there, the tire pops of my trailer, so we like pull off, and we're just like positive peanuts. That's what I was calling us. We're like, oh well. So then I call like a tow truck guy, and he's like, classic like dad figures, like, girls, what are you doing? like, you are really gutsy. We're like, oh, I know this. We are so stupid. I can't believe we did this. And we end up just like, the sled just stays in Boise for our trip. We just go ride Brundage, have like the best time of our lives. Kind of forget about the sled. Then I was like, oh, I'm paying for this sled to stay overnight at this guy's house. But as soon as we leave the guy, we're like, that guy's kind of a baby. Like, he was so nervous for us. What's the big deal? Like, we were just testing the waters. And he was like, you're testing it on at night during a snowstorm? So then we end up going back and I picked it up, got new tires, and it's been great ever since. But so failed the test.
Have you taken it out since?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How's the learning curve on the snowmobile?
I'm just about as good as I was when I started. But I've been like a handful of times, and I have the confidence that I think is needed, but maybe not. But I think some people maybe don't have that, so I have that purpose of it.
Yep.
But I don't have like the skill set. But like a lot of it is just being like, I'm gonna make it up this hill. And but there's been some funny moments there too, where one time it was me and Dara, and we're both like pretty new at sledding, and I just like roll up to her and I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. And then I just go right by her, make it like 50 feet, tumble down. And she's like, I can't do it if you can't do it. But I didn't grow up with like any type of motor or anything like that. So it's like that's like a foreign thing for me. I think I'm just gonna keep doing it until it clicks. But I did go, and I came up with some new terms, like the pour over.
Pour over?
What's that?
Like the like side hilling, or like when you're laying over.
What's the real term, Chris?
Oh, I guess it would be side hilling. Yeah.
Okay.
When
get it on edge?
Yeah, when you're on the edge, yeah. So
Pouring it over?
Yeah, you're pouring it over.
Yeah, pour over. Yeah.
Yeah,
How's the pour over going?
It was good. We got a half a pour over going, which is kind of funny because it just looks like I'm just like baby wheeling. But yeah, I think I'm going to take it out next week and really put it to the test.
Yeah.
Any good stucks yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of my snowboarding has been because of and in help with Amanda Hankinson and Parker Duke. When I was kind of going back and forth from like living in Jersey or wherever, Portland, California. I lived in so many places, but I would always like come back for the winters and stay in Amanda's house and in her basement with Jill. And Amanda has been like always snowmobiling for a really long time. So she would like once a year, she would always be like, Katie, you got to start sledding like ASAP, because that's, when you're 31 and you're finally ready to go out there, you got to be ready for it. So she would take me out a couple times a year, and
mostly parking lots.
Yeah, I mean, depends. It wouldn't take too much, but I dug like myself into like the biggest hole ever, and she was like, "How did you even do this?" So yeah, that happened, and now I just like am like, I do not want to get stuck, and now I watch YouTube videos. Yeah, on like 10 things not to like. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, what are you learning on these things? What are they telling you?
They're like, don't be that guy that like is the last one ready.
That's good advice. Yeah.
Or that has like, puts their things down on what are those things called?
The scratchers.
Scratchers, yeah, scratchers. Just like basic stuff I need help with. Make sure I bring goggles. But we went sledding the other day with the crew, and this is kind of funny. I was like, I didn't have my sled registered, and I have this thing where I lose my phone all the time. So we're like sledding, and in the middle of it, I'm like, oh, I lost my phone. And everyone's like, I'll find it. And we like look for it for a second. 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, well, it's okay. No worries. And then we're sledding, and I just like happen to be like, all the sleds are lined up, and I'm just like, at the front of all my friends, just like telling stories. I'm like in charge of, I'm at the lead. We're all sitting on our sleds, And like, I don't have my sled registered because I just bought it. And like, one of the black jacket, like state troopers, DNR,
Yep.
beelining it towards me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have my sled registered. He's like going so fast towards me. So I just like look up in the sky, like I'm not there. But I'm like, obviously the first one in the group. And he's like, he just like pulls up next to me, like really close to me and holds up my phone, but I'm not there. I'm not there. And he's like, I just found this phone. Is this anybody's? And I'm not listening at all because I'm like, I'm not registered. And then everyone's like, Katie, he has your phone. And then I like turn around and he has my phone like right there. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, sir. Like shake his hand, being so weird because I'm like trying to like not get in trouble without having my sled registered. And then it was just so funny because I got my phone, didn't get in trouble, and I was like, thanks, everybody. And everyone was just like, they're like, Katie, he has your phone. I was like, I'm not here.
Is it registered now?
No, but I've been taking it out since. Yeah, I haven't been snowmobiling because I haven't been here.
Fair enough.
It's a good time for it, though. Snow stacking up.
Yep.
Go get that thing nice and buried. It'll be a good time.
Okay, people, we're talking about Sunny G's sunglasses. We're talking about the Smith Optics hook set Sunny G. And this is my daily driver. I had to go get this thing from my center console of my truck. It was smudged, and they're still holding up strong. They're polarized, not polaroized. Don't get it confused. And it's just a good pair of sunglasses. When you look good, you feel good, and life is just good. So if you want to look good and feel good, get the Smith hook set sunglass, and you can do that at smithoptics.com. And we got a special offer for you guys. If you use promo code BOMBHOLE15, it'll take 15% off your first order. Again, BOMBHOLE15 at smithoptics.com. Save yourself some dough.
All right, we're going to take a quick break with a message from our good friends over at Woodward, Tahoe. That's Boreal Mountain for you. And if you don't know, snowboarding was pioneered on Donner Summit just around the corner. And if you want to keep the tradition alive, we recommend you get some laps in over at Woodward, Tahoe. They got the best park in all of Tahoe. There's no denying it. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. Well-groomed, creative parks. You can't get enough of it. And get this, they got night riding. The only night riding in Tahoe. Their chairs are spinning with full lights, great visibility, until 8 p.m., 7 days a week. If you want to get your reps up, just like the pioneers did, head on over to Woodward, Tahoe.
All right, big news coming from GoPro. GoPro is awarding $120,000 this winter for Line of the Winter. There is 4 categories. We're talking men's ski, women's ski, men's snowboard, women's snowboard. There are monthly winners for January, February, March, April for each category. Each take home $5,000 cash. Then there is one overall winner for each category, $10,000 cash. To enter, all you need to do is submit your raw POV to gopro.com/awards. And there's a standalone category for women's this year. And I've been hearing there's not that many submissions, so a lot of opportunity to take home some big money. Also, I'm going to be a judge, along with Gaffney, Ingrid, Elena, and Sage. So again, check out gopro.com/awards and submit your POV video today.
Cool. I think it would be cool to talk about your role as director of digital and social media for Slush Magazine. What is your scope of work? What are you doing over there?
Yeah, so I started working as Slush as like, it was kind of part of my side hustle thing going on. I was just like I just did all the social stuff for them, so there was a bigger team, I guess, at that point, where somebody was doing the website, somebody was doing the sales, and then someone had previously held this social role, and they were looking to fill that spot. So Pat called me, asked me if I wanted to do it. I was like, sure, that sounds great. I've done things like this before, so should be pretty easy. I'm a recruiter, and I snowboard a lot, so yeah, let's add something else to it. And that was really fun. Is kind of like a good first step into working with these guys. So yeah, I got to like kind of just make it whatever I want it to be. We have like a lot of like brand partnerships. So kind of fulfilling those from the social stance, and then yeah, kind of just like posting clips of people that I saw were cool or whatever. Social and digital space is so like, there's so much to do and there's so many things you can do. So it's really, or like you want to do, but like what can you do and how do you do it consistently and well and, you know, not just like put anything out there, because I feel like once you start to do something, you kind of want to make it like a thing. But so yeah, it's just started just doing like basic social media stuff, which is a great way to, yeah, that's like a kind of a good like first step into marketing, I'd say, because that's like the face of a lot of brands, is their social media presence. And yeah, it's like customer service, it's everything. And then I started like just naturally just like doing more stuff. And the web guy left, Mike, and our sales guy left, Scott. So then it was just me. And we had some help that first fall with the website stuff. And I kind of like, I've done a lot of different marketing roles. I used to be like do it for like a hotel group and things. So I really understand all the pieces. There's a lot of pieces. So I would say I know how to do everything. I'm not like an expert by any means in anything, but you know, when you're a director, you got to know everything. You just don't. So then, not this winter, a couple winters ago, Pat was like, hey, like, you know, we're going to, what do you're doing more than we hired you to do. And I kept being like, I think that it's easiest if I just do that as well, because it's all in the same breath, right? It's like killing a bunch of birds with one stone. Like you get the assets and you make it for all these different things. And I know how to do all these different things. And at first he called me and was like, I think you could do this job. So website, email, and social, and still be a recruiter. And I was like, there's no way I can do that. Like, well, one, I like am passionate about the work that I do with Slush. So it's more fun for me to like get into those holes of things. So then I had this decision where I was like, oh, what should I do? And I think like we went to Baldface. Pat brought all of the advertisers to Baldface, and I lost my phone when I was riding powder, and I ended up like staying in Nelson for a couple of days because it was opening day and they got a bunch of snow, and I was like, I'm gonna stay. This is fun. I don't have a phone, and that kind of like, you know, that kind of affected my ability to be a recruiter. And Pat was like, you know, you could work for me and be in Nelson as long as you want. Like that kind of like I was like, oh, Slush and it's Pat is this place that I can like really be like the snowboarder and the like marketer that I want to be. Because Pat is a huge supporter of my snowboarding. Slush is my number one sponsor for sure. But like that's like I think one of the coolest things about Slush is that we are like truly all snowboarders. Like, and we want each other to enjoy our time on our snowboard and to snowboard as much as we can. So we kind of grind when we have to. And then, you know, and that is like heavily in the fall. The winter we like go to events and, but I've been able to like kind of really like flex my productivity in this role. Cause like I can like get a lot of things done in a short amount of time and then go get my sled stuck, which is nice. Yeah, and marketing is just one of those things where the list never ends, but you can do it at your own pace in some ways. And then once I was in that role, I stopped recruiting, was just doing Slush stuff. I started like really being like, oh, we can do all these cool things at Slush, and really love the fact that it was a startup and that, it was kind of what we could make it. And I think I really like thrive in those environments, and maybe like can get myself in over a little too deep. But then we hired Norm, so he helps me. And so on like a day-to-day basis, like I usually like talk to all the brands that we work with, and find out what they're doing this season, or like whatever riders they have that they're signing or want to highlight, and build their plans to work with us. And then I execute everything as well. So like actually being the one that deploys all of that stuff. But I would always say like my big picture is to sell our product, which is the magazine, which is like what is our like value. And now Videograss is like what we do. So that was like another thing that I worked on really heavily this fall. So in addition, like snowboarding is a weird thing or the media space is weird because you have like your product, but then all of the partners that you work with want their product as well. And they all like coincide because they're different. We like tell the stories of snowboarding and they make the snowboard products. But I think that can be like a little bit forgotten along the lines because it is such like a fast-paced world that I kind of now what my like main strategies when I think about like big picture strategies is like selling the magazine. Because we could people can live in a world where we don't even need ads because we're just making enough money on reader subscriptions. But we do need the ads, everybody.
What do you think in your in your opinion, now working for a magazine and also snowboarding, why do you find print and media important, and if so, why?
Yeah, for sure. I think that it is in this space where there's like everyone is their own brand. I think back in the day, it was like super important for magazines. Like that's how you got noticed. That's how you got sponsors and everything was just this was the magazine basically.
Sure.
And now I feel like it's a harder sell because it's like shifted a bit where like why would somebody read a magazine when they can just go to, Jill's Instagram and see what she has to say for herself. Yeah. But I think like journalism is really important for the space because it's like a unbiased storytelling of like maybe things that people don't want to talk about or like getting to like know people in a way that's like different than hearing it from themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when I look at a magazine, like my favorite parts is like, excuse me, like the camaraderie pieces. Like you were saying, if you go to someone's Instagram, you see what they're doing and all this stuff. But when you go to a magazine or you go through print or media, you kind of see what the industry is doing. And I mean, sure, there's ads and there's, paid slots where people are paying for their rider who's maybe a new rider on the team to have these photos ran. But the stories to me that come through magazines are almost coming from like a third party perspective. And I think that's really interesting to a consumer. I mean, I know it's one of my favorite parts. And I don't know, I think Slush does a really good job at doing that. And it's like interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think if somebody's like if somebody's not like one of our friends, then it's hard to envision themselves being there, being like friends with us through our Instagram. But then you read these stories and you're like, oh my gosh, like World Quarters is sick. I'm going next year.
Yeah.
Like they're all just hanging out there. But if they just see like a clip of somebody doing a trick, they're like, oh, like there's just that connection of when you can really like tell it from a place of like, just like from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. The magazine is really special. I can take no credit in that piece of the puzzle, but it's an honor to like be able to work with them on like getting it out there in the world.
Yeah.
And photos too. I mean, you didn't even talk about photos, but like you film part all year, and then you your photos in the magazine, whether it's an ad, whether it's a cover, whether it's a, like a digital screen is not a tiny iPhone that's this big is not where photos should live and immediately be forgotten and on to the next one. It's just like a perfect moment in time captured. Going back to the Slush crew, though, you guys have an elite crew. Deeply admire your guys' crew. Obviously, Bridges, the freaking the Sherpa of snowboarding, and then you got Stan, and like I can only imagine how fun your goddamn Zoom meetings are with that crew.
Yep. Yep. They go on long. They're long. So yeah, we have Stan, who's the editor. I'm not the editor. Pat, CEO, owner. He is the reason for a lot of things that snowboarding is and has become. Justin Meyer, who is VG. He's our video, Kaya Sauter, who is our art director, creative director, honestly is the most important member of our team. We have so many half-baked ideas that we give to her, and she just delivers like the creative around it, and it's so polished and professional. This is beyond just laying out the magazine all the time. And she gets to work probably the closest with Bob Plum.
Dude, what a cast of characters. God damn, when you really lay them all out there. And Slush is so fucking elite with the squad.
Yeah, and then we just hired Norm Alexander.
Legend.
And, Norm, it's funny because Norm, if you don't know Norm, you got to look Norm up. He's so good at jibbing.
Put some clips
he had
on
some
the
of the
screen.
heavy. He cabbed 2 pretzel the goddamn kink rail this year.
Crazy.
He's fucking
on the screen.
Yeah, he's a super freak on the rails, and
A super freak.
he was like
To be specific.
Yeah.
We gotta cut that soundbite out.
Yeah,
Please save that.
Yeah, it's saved. It's the last clip in your mashup. Everyone saw it on Instagram.
Super freak. And he's like, I don't know, 23 or something, 24, just graduated college. So when he first started working, I was like, sick. Somebody that like is just gonna like love Instagram. Like this is a kid.
Old soul.
He's writing. He's going to events with a notepad and a pen, and I'm like, it's like pulling teeth, get him to post on Instagram. But like that's great because I'm okay at that, and so I'm not that great at like, writing, spelling, writing. But yeah, our Zoom calls are quite funny. I kind of like play into them sometimes. I say something funny like, you're never going to guess what I did. And then they all start saying like really inappropriate jokes and stuff. And I just like sit.
Why is that?
What?
Why is that?
Because it's easy.
Okay, true. Keep going.
But yeah, so then I started doing this thing where I'd like be like, okay, I made like actionable meetings with them individually. So we would have our weekly meeting and then I'd be like, I'm going to meet with you on Thursday for an hour, and we're only going to talk about things that like we need to do, rather than like how the L1 outerwear sales are doing, because it's a really good time to just be a part of it. I hope that my dream is that we go on a like tropical retreat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm thinking yoga, like in the mornings.
I could picture Bob Plum out there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Slush inner office slopestyle contest. Run us down first through the whole, like the placement of everybody and where they're going to finish hypothetically.
Okay. So I was the best one on the team, but then Norm came, and Norm is so damn good, and he's really good at jumping too. So he would whoop everybody. I feel like I might come in second place.
You got Stan covered.
I for sure am Stan.
Yeah.
Not worried about Stan.
Not worried about Stan. But the Stan Meyer battle might be a good one. Mm-hmm. But Stan might come out on top.
I'd pay to watch.
Meyer's got some like jib, like nose press,
Yeah.
deep in the bag. Stan also, I actually forget. Like I doubt Stan so hard, but he's surprised. Like he's a fucking good ass snowboarder.
Yeah, he can do a method off nothing.
Yes.
Boom.
You know
So,
what?
okay, so P1 is Norm. P2 is you.
Yep.
P3, it sounds like there's a battle between. Imagine. Okay, I'm gonna throw a fucking curveball. Quarter pipe at the end of the slopestyle contest.
Yeah, that's Norm would still win, and I still might come in second, but.
I'm going stand third. I know it's not my circus, not my monkeys, but come on.
I know, but I would say like the person that if the judges are looking for something that they're like, oh my god, what just happened? Pat.
Oh, true.
It's about overall impression though. You gotta. I haven't seen Pat hit a piece of steel in 30 years.
Yeah, he might just tap them with his hand or something.
Okay.
He might just roll by them, arms crossed.
As someone who was just in a competition, I don't think they'd score that very well.
Yeah, wouldn't score it well.
Yeah.
Talking about conventional scoring here.
Yeah,
And
conventional.
Bob is a big part of our team, but we never see him at our events. So I don't know. I haven't seen Bob snowboard really that much.
so-
For sure, dead last.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's no
that's what I thought.
DNS.
You just put Bob at the bottom. He is surefire last place. Even if people fall, there's no way.
Yeah. But I mean, but Myers got the mini pipe thing going on. When we rode bear with him, and he was just like
that's his local.
Yeah, that was sick.
So again, Norm.
Yeah, we're not really gonna answer.
We need concrete
Okay.
names.
Norm, Katie, Stan, Meyer, Pat, Bob. Oh wait, we're forgetting about Kaya.
Kaya.
Yep.
Where does Kaya fit into
Really
the
throws a
equation?
wrench
I'm putting
into
Kaya.
things.
I think Kaya would be in between. Okay, Norm, Katie, Stan, Meyer, Kaya, Pat, Bob.
There it is.
What about worst
We got
bail?
it.
Yeah.
Worst bail?
Yeah.
Bob.
Bob, I guess. Yeah.
What about style award?
Ooh.
I feel like Stan might win that.
Really?
I mean, style
Norm
like
looks
like
pretty good out
Yeah,
there.
Norm don't look bad. Myers got some swagger.
But you sometimes with the style award you have to throw someone a bone. Like maybe give it to Pat.
Oh, throwing a
We're
Yeah.
throwing a bone.
That
Okay,
extra
a little
500
asterisk next
piece
to
out
it.
there, you know.
All right, best trick though. You got a quarter pipe. Best trick.
yeah. Pat might win best
True.
trick.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
True.
Yeah, the more I get to know Pat, and I work with him really closely. Like I talk to Pat Bridges. Wish I could tell my 12-year-old self that you not only are you going to work for this guy, you're going to
Screen his calls.
not only, but like he's got a lot of things up his sleeve. You never really know what he's going to do. The story of him, he's got a clip in landline, Pat Moore's part, like just like he might just hike a little bit higher and do something a little crazier. But that would be really fun. That's what will happen at our retreat. Maybe it'll be like a little.
You guys got to settle the score.
Yep.
I know we do.
You got to settle the score.
This is gonna cause some Zoom drama, some Google Meet drama.
Okay, favorite part and least favorite part of your job.
Okay. Well, my favorite part is that I get to talk about. I get to like hype like in the basis of it is like hype up snowboarders and snowboarding like every day. Like that's kind of what my job is. Like it is cool to be able to, especially being a snowboarder myself, like on a day-to-day basis, like it has nothing to do with like me. And that's a lot of what snowboarding is, I think. You're always like, I can tap into that for sure. But like, it's like, so like I need clips. I'm posting this video of myself, blah, 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 blah. But me on a day-to-day basis, I spend most of my time like posting other people and talking about other people and hopefully, making this sport and all these people like more successful. So that's like the coolest part of my job is that like everything I do is hopefully helping others and the sport grow in a sense. And I also really like working, and the other best part of my job is working in the startup space where, if I have an idea, I can kind of run with it and like make it what I want it to be, or take something that I think is cool and see if it is, and that's like really a rewarding process. And the worst part of my job is I don't want I don't want to call out any brand specifically. I guess the worst part of my job is like this. I am kind of organized in the sense that I get things done, but is working with like brands that are super like hard. These aren't even brands. These are like agencies and stuff that are like very, I wouldn't say out of touch, but not super. It's like working with people that aren't really in the space. It's cool to work with your friends and be like, hey, we got a Reed Smith Pro model coming out. I'm like so gung-ho about it and like whatever. I'm posting that for, like not even thinking about it. I think when I have to work with some like outside agencies and stuff, that's like a little bit hard because it's like so not in my wheelhouse of like it's not like with the riders or with the brands or whatever. So that's kind of like that. I find that to be a little bit more of like a job, the job part of it. Nothing else is really that bad. Maybe, yeah, I love my job.
All right, we got another guest question. This is from Stan, our third place finisher at this hypothetical slopestyle.
What is up, Bombhole? Incredible that you have Katie Kennedy in the booth, one of the best humans to walk planet Earth. The world is brighter because of you, Katie, and my question is, you are someone who, kind of wears a bunch of hats in snowboarding between being vital to the slush equation and the media side of snowboarding to also kind of building this professional career as a rider. And I'm wondering if that wears on you and how and when one thing takes a backseat versus the other. So yeah, super excited to get Katie in the booth, and I hope she says something absolutely insane.
Backseat, windows up. Okay. Well, yes. I think that snowboarding on a day-to-day basis and working like every day is a lot to manage and juggle and balance. Like, I think that it's easy in the fall and the off season to be really into work. So it makes me look really bad in the winter when I'm not working at the same caliber as when I'm just at my desk all the time. I think that my first love is definitely the snowboarding aspect of it, but I know that I wouldn't be able to snowboard as much or at where I am right now without Slush and the work that I'm able to do. So unfortunately, I would say that sometimes Slush takes a back seat. But it's all like, I think that it's all relative to the seasonality of the space that we're in. So I hope it doesn't like hurt it too bad. But, I mean, who really takes a backseat is like my personal relationships. I think that I would like if I'm snowboarding, like the other day I was snowboarding, hitting a jump in the mountains, like making sure that everything was out there in the world that I had to do for Slush. And I completely missed like a full on group chat of my friend picking out her wedding dress, like within the midst of this. And I was like, felt so bad, but that's like kind of that's like I can only do so much right now. So yeah, thank you friends for being understanding. But yeah, that's like what I think takes like the biggest hit. I also think that working with brands that really understand that about me, that I do work for a media and I have responsibilities outside of just riding my snowboard, that makes it a lot easier for me to do both. Like it's like LibTech and 686. I've been riding for Mervyn for so long and I've had so many times when I've been like, yeah, I do this random job instead. And they've been like, sounds good. We'll still support you. And I think that that's like a really big part of why I'm able to do what I can do, because they kind of understand that. And I feel like the industry's changing a little bit in the sense that like it is a lot to ask of a rider to like just snowboard and put their life on the line and do all this stuff for not a lot of security and not a lot of like opportunity to explore other things. And I've been fortunate to like kind of put my foot down and be like, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. Hopefully you guys can get behind it. But I hope that like that brands either like see the value in that, because that's like, yeah, it's kind of a saving yourself down the line from getting yourself into a situation where you're like, oh, now what? Yeah, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. But I don't know, Jill, how's it feel to jump?
No. You were just talking, and it like you're right. It is a very special thing where you've found and created this thing for yourself where you can do the things that you love to do while simultaneously working for a brand like Slush that allows you to do just that as well. And they do coincide very peacefully and perfectly. And to go back to Stan's question, like, I mean, I just am listening to you talking. I'm like, yeah, that does sound really difficult to be like, is today a day where I work, or is it today a day where I ride? Because it's like mixing work and pleasure. And I know from personal experience and hearing other people's stories, like that does become really hard. So is there something that you, like when you know that you have a deadline or something, like what is it that you do that like any advice for other people where they're like, I want to do both this, like I want to make my passion a part of my job, I just don't know how to mesh those two together. Like what has been a couple things that you've found that help you?
Yeah. Well, it is really hard, for sure. Like, and I would say that I did not, like, my intention wasn't to like become a professional snowboarder when I started like mixing things. I wasn't like, I just was like, I get to snowboard as much as I can. And if I can become as good of a snowboarder as like maybe I'm capable of, then that would just like be awesome too.
Yeah.
But I think like, you know, time passes no matter what, and having those little jobs that I've had over the years that like build my skill set. And if anything, just teach me like accountability and like professionalism, like those little things, like even if it's just like doing social media for like the pizza place you work for or whatever the case is, like there's so many avenues that you can learn like different skill sets from and then apply them to like whatever you want your true passion to be or whatever. But for me, I think that it's really helpful for me to have other things going on when I'm as a snowboarder. I kind of feel a little like uncomfortable when like all my value is in something that's like an act of, or like, you know, I just am going to go snowboard and that's my worth. And I always like never really related to that because I felt like, you know, I have so many other good things.
Yeah.
And then I realized that like when you take that pressure away, and this is just for me, I know that other people operate differently, but when I took like the financial pressure and the sponsor pressure away from my snowboarding, it actually made me a better snowboarder. And I'm super lucky that I have like the work ethic and like the ADHD that I do to like do all these things. But I think that for me, it's kind of taught me to treat snowboarding like a job. Where if you only have a couple hours on your snowboard because you have to do a deadline, you're kind of like, all right, I have 3 hours to get a clip. And yeah, it made me way more serious about snowboarding by having deadlines. So I basically just took my job and was like, all right, now I'm going to apply this to snowboarding. And, you know, if I have this due at work, then I have, you know, these clips due too. So I would say the biggest thing for people to think about is that everything that they do in snowboarding is a skill set that is useful in work, and everything that they do in work is useful in the snowboarding space as well, or whatever you're passionate about. I think a lot of people forget that when you're snowboarding, you are building all those great, like, soft skills, tenacity,
memories,
self-discipline. But yeah, I mean, might as well try.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I feel like a great balance of it was when we were at that Red Bull thing at Bachelor. I forget the name of it. And we're media people. We're like filming everybody with their phones, trying to be good media people. And then we found this like bombed out jump that everybody had left. And it's like Katie launches a giant front five underflip and gets a banger A grade on it after doing media work all day. And like, that's it, you know?
Yeah. You kind of just are like, oh, this is my time.
Yeah, they can only keep you in a cage for so long.
Yep.
But there are two different hats for sure that I put on.
Yeah.
And I think that, but I've worn both those hats individually before wearing them both at the same time. Yeah. So I think that because I was like super down to try other things, like I was the marketing coordinator at like a random hill for a year, and like time always passes, so you might as well be like doing something with that time, you know, whether it's just taking a class or managing an Instagram account or something. But yeah, there was a lot of directions I went in, and they all like came together. So just
what was that like growing up snowboarding and then kind of having a little hiatus where you're like, I need to work and do this, to then coming back? Like, do you feel like you love it more now that you're back, or do you feel like you finally found, like, it was almost like you were like shoving the love that you once had for it away, and then it came back, and it's like, oh, this is who I was destined to be, because this is what I loved from the beginning, and here I am doing it now?
Yeah, I think that it's just snowboarding is so foreign to, you know, the place I'm from, and you know, all the my family members and things like that. So there wasn't like a, oh, this makes sense. Snowboarding makes sense to anybody in my family, really.
But I guess, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm curious, and maybe I'm like, when you're a kid and like you have those like kid like you don't care, you just like all of a sudden like, I fell in love with this. Like, I snowboarded for the first time, I saw that rail jam and I was like, I want to do that. And like, maybe you weren't even thinking about external factors of like, no one does this or whatever, but like, you like, that is like pure joy, and I don't even know what that is because I'm a kid, but I just know that I love it.
Yeah.
And did you feel that something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always had that. I just think I needed to say yes to a bunch of other things to really find out what it was.
Totally. And I guess that's what I'm asking. So like, when you came back and you finally were like, yes, like, did you have a sense of like, this is me? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah.
Like, yes, I needed to go away from this, but like, I now feel more complete and more confident. Like, and you can talk about
totally.
how you feel.
I think the value factor is a lot of that stuff. Like, when I first moved to Utah and I was like, we're just snowboarding. And I mean, I like am like riding at the caliber of all my friends in a sense. And they're all like, you know, making a bunch of money. And I'm like, crap. I gotta go. So I think that it's like, I also think that you really need snowboarding. There's so many different ways to do it, right? And I think I was kind of hanging out with these street girls, and I'm like, you guys are kind of gnarly. Like, you bring the first street spot I brought Jill to, I ran into a dumpster. So I was like, maybe this isn't really for me, like this per se. Like, I could get by. But when I started becoming financially independent from myself, but when I started to like have more resources that I could use, like I started really getting into like backcountry and powder riding, and that's like the love that I felt when I was a kid. Like, just that like freedom, and like I'm in the mountains. Like, that's, you know, me being in the city, I'm kind of like, I grew up next to New York City. Like, this isn't really like exciting to me. But me being like, you know, out in the mountains is like definitely re-sparked that in me. And when you hang out, when your circle, you know, all you see is your circle, you think that like maybe street riding is like the only way or whatever. But then when I started to like work at Slush, for example, like going to Baldface, that was my first time like really there. And I was like, oh, this is like the type of snowboarding that I feel like I can, like that I really love, that I really get excited about, that kind of works for my snowboarding. You kind of think less. You're not worrying about the dumpster anymore. But that change for me in the last couple of years has really like been like, okay, I think I'm ready to like put a lot more of my time into this. But I couldn't have done that if I didn't. Like, there's so many barriers like to entry in that space. Like, I literally had to work as a media partner to like get invited on these things and to afford to do these things. So I had to get really creative with like how I was going to get time on that type of terrain, I guess.
Yeah.
Now you got a pro model board, LibTech. That's got to feel good looking down at that thing.
Yeah, we got the OG lava lamp over here.
What's up with that? Did they surprise you when they gave that? Did you know that was coming?
That was like pro model, I guess, is a loose term for them over there. No, I've been riding for them for a long time. Barrett kind of was like the real sell on that brand. And I kind of just like kept up at showing up for a lot of years. Like
important.
Yeah, I kind of just like went to all the events and did what I like, got the photos I had to get to. Maybe wasn't like I am, all in on this snowboard thing, but they appreciated me showing up. And LibTech, they like started a women's line in LibTech, and I was kind of getting flowed like GNU stuff, and they're like, "You'd be a good fit for LibTech." So I thought that was kind of cool because that was like a fresh start. And then I was like, I just don't like any of the girl snowboards because I like camber snowboards. And then they're like, okay, you can make one, and you could do like literally everything to make the board. So like worked to make this shape and this whatever, the contour, the radius, the width. And then I came up with the name, which was crazy. It's called Two Time because I'm cheating on, one thing or the other. Work or play.
Great name.
And yeah, now they just let me like draw whatever I want on it. But this year Desiree's going to draw on it because the OG lava lamp isn't hidden, I guess. But they've been like a huge like if I wasn't getting snowboards like for free when I was working at the restaurant or something, I might have like been like, oh no, I'm not seen or whatever. So they made me feel seen, and it was really cool going to the factory. That's like, did you take the people?
I've gone to the Capita factory.
Yeah, that was super cool, and yeah, they're a brand that people ride for forever. So. Yeah, maybe the 2 Time is forever.
I think the thing about snowboard factories is so cool. It's like, got a lot of free snowboards over the years. Really lucky, really, had a pretty good life in terms of boards showing up in the mail. All for me to just fucking complain.
Yeah. And then you go to the factory.
And then you go to the factory, you're like, holy shit, there's like people that build these, and it's a.
Ever since I went there, I'm like obsessed with like waxing my board, and like I'm like, this thing is art. Like I get a ding in it. I would like go across concrete and be like, this thing's trash. Now I'm like, this thing is. When I'm done with you, I'm hanging you on the wall. So yeah, now I talk to them. But yeah, I think I feel like I don't know, Jill. What if a brand was to tell you that will buy your college education? Would you take it?
100%.
Or something like that along those lines. Like, we would love if you did an internship with us or something.
Yeah, I would take it.
Wait, in regards to what though?
Like, they want to pay for my college? Hell yeah. Let's go. You saw my spelling bee.
Oh, I guess if like a brand encouraged people to like learn to like, if they like had like, okay, what are you going to do after this type?
Yeah.
Not like, what are you going to do after this?
That's first I would ask for health insurance.
Okay.
That's where I would start.
Nice.
Or maybe an education so then I could fill out the health insurance form. Like that could be a good start. Yes, I would take it. But I think ultimately, like my answer to this question, whether it's part of the question or not, is brands now use their riders to do so much more than just snowboarding. And snowboarding that's a huge part of it as well. But I like being an asset to a team, like, you know, they have like a marketing team, they have all this, they have people in place to do different roles and all this stuff. But ultimately, like what brands I find are after now is a full package deal. And which is why you are such a great sell to them, because you do wear the hats that you do. And I don't know right now if it's like a good or bad thing. I know it's like helped a lot of my friends. It's helped me because when I first started getting sponsored, it wasn't like I was great at snowboarding. And it was because I would show up and do those things and like was willing to wear these different hats. And I just think it's interesting now that brands like they do expect a lot more out of us than just snowboarding. And I don't know if that's how it was back in the day really, but I'm just feeling that a lot. And I think like it would be nice if brands could invest more money into their riders and their people so then they could further their education or have enough money to figure out what else they like to do off of their snowboard, because ultimately, going back to what you said, it does make us better snowboarders and better people. So it's like, I think a lot of people are, you know, some people are overpaid and some people are underpaid. And the people who are underpaid, it's just so heartbreaking because then they have to make a decision whether they want to like drop the things that they love to do in order to like be qualified in something else in life. And then they have to let it go. And
basically, like, unless you're making, I mean, once you make a certain amount of money, you can't really go back either. So it's like, and you need money to live.
Yeah, I mean, the thought, like, what you do after something is a daunting thing. And I think I've always admired the people who have gone to school, who have gotten education, life experiences so much, and then came into this space and like completely slayed it. Where it's like, I'm a fan of the B plan. I think it's like a necessary step.
Yeah. But you also look at it like, I feel like you're learning every day. You're in like the school of life.
Yeah, I want a diploma in that. Sounds pretty nice.
It all depends on what you want to do too. If you want to be an engineer, you need a degree. There's a lot of things if you can do in this world where you don't need a degree.
Yeah, totally.
So it's all just what do you want to do.
Yeah. Marketing and sales could have learned that.
But I think that's totally like that's the thing. It's like if you show interest in something, it's really cool. Like I feel really confident in the brands that support me, and it sounds like you do as well. And as long as you're open and honest and like ask the questions or like, you know, show interest that you're like, I'm interested in the marketing side of things. Like, what do you have going on in the summer? You know, like Reed, like he gets out of school, pro snowboarder, like has a degree, and he's like expressing interest to Skull Candy, and Skull Candy's like, we would love to have you come in here, because ultimately the problem is that we need more people with experience as riders to be working in this workspace to then make it more to fight for us, you know? And it's cool to see brands listening to that. And I think like I've just been seeing that, and I think it's really cool that they are giving us opportunities, and it's not that they're looking past the degree. They're just like understanding the life experiences that people have and then bringing them in to show them the ropes kind of, you know?
Yep. Now we're merging the recruiting aspect of it into this all too.
Yeah.
Because that's like, that's a huge thing that I feel like I wish that more snowboarders didn't feel like it was like, I didn't make it, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like to be like, I want to be the marketing coordinator of the brand that I was sponsored by. Like that would be so sick. But there's a lot of like ego and things that go involved with it. But I hope that there's because you can tell the difference when you're talking to brands like, oh, this person's a snowboarder, or they're like just a fan of snowboarding.
Totally.
And yeah, I wish that more people would just like be like, oh, maybe I am not going to make a living as a rider, and but I still want to be there. And yeah, there's so many like, especially women, I feel like could be in those roles more. That's like my, if I have a backup plan, it's to get that going. Me and Barrett.
More women in the space. Yeah.
You know what I also admire too? That's like a totally different approach too. But you look at like J-Mo, for example. Like J-Mo does concrete curbing all summer long, employs a bunch of snowboarders, takes the winters off, and just fucking boards and gets after it.
Yeah.
And like people that have built their lives intentionally in that way, where they truly get to like love snowboarding on a pure level. Like it's just, I mean, J-Mo's sponsored, but it is a lot. There's a lot of people that aren't, and it's just like, it's really pure. And I think that's not a dream. That's a good dream to build your life in that way too.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I've thought about that too, or I've tried it, I guess. But yeah, being able to snowboard with like no attachment is like super sick. That's like, Yeah, that's the retirement plan.
Yeah. I love it. Let's talk 60-40.
Oh, yeah. Our big break.
Hasn't quite happened yet, but.
Well, we got a couple videos.
Yeah.
No. 60-40 Productions. I bought the name on Google, so no one can buy it, okay? But going back to like when me and Jill were living in Amanda's basement, and we're kind of like, oh, like some people do street riding, some people like powder. We were like, we're like a ratio of 100 or whatever. But I don't really know exactly where that genius.
It came from a spliff ratio of marijuana and nicotine, and people would just say like, "What's your ratio?" And it was 60-40, and then we kind of realized, well, that's kind of how we live our lives. 60 at the time, it was 60% street, 40% powder.
Yeah, now we're going green bean, but I think like part of my brain process in some ways was like my friends that like, you know, Jill was off making videos with people, and there was a few of us that maybe like didn't really, we were just out there riding, and like we wanted to, like Steffi was in it, Itchy Ears,
Dara.
Yeah, just this, where I was just like, oh, I have a production company. It's called 60-40. Let's make a movie. So yeah, I made like a little street part one year during COVID, and that was like my first try at like putting together a timeline and stuff, and that went over pretty well. And then the next year I was like, we're making a powder and street video, and it was really good.
Great.
But I think it was just like a really important thing to like work on. I think if like you don't have anything else to do, if there's not any like bigger projects, or like brands aren't like, hey, you got to be a part of this project, like just being able to like work on something and premiere it at Spidelli's was like felt pretty like, oh, like I did do something. And I think that was a really good like maybe not catalyst, but like another way of showing up in like for brands that I like was writing for, just like, hey, yeah, you know, I'm not in the biggest production of the year, but like me and my friends made this video, and there's some pretty good clips in it.
There's some heaters.
Yeah, I think a big like 60-40, in my opinion, it's like a friend thing. Like it's like the side gig, the fun times. It's like it's something that you're like, that's what I love about snowboarding, is like being able to go out and do with my friends. Not to say that the bigger production stuff, they're still my friends, but it's like lower pressure. You're kind of joking around. You're doing things that you don't normally do. Like I'll go in the powder and mess around with them, and vice versa. And I think being able to do that with like your like close friends on and off snow is like so important. And then to be able to put a premiere together, that was like a joke. Like it started as a joke, and then it turned out. I mean, at first we made a flyer that was heinous, and then I had my home address on it, and I was getting calls being like, I think you should maybe take your home address off the flyer. And I was like, it's 60-40. No one's going to show up. Who gives a shit? This is just what we do in our free time. And next thing you know, like we have it at Spidelli's. They hosted it. Thank you to them. And it was like a packed house, and Katie and I are standing on tables, like yelling on the mic. And I was like, at the end of the night, we just looked at each other. We're like, that kind of worked.
Yeah, that was, but yeah, what 60-40 is missing is like an editor, for example. Like I edit
sometimes.
But it has been like a thing for like, I don't know, like even like, you know, Steffi and myself to like have like just collect clips, like regardless of where, you know, where they were going for those couple of years, like kind of kept us going. And now, you know, it's like, you know, she's filming it with the 32 video, and like, yeah, with all these like bigger productions, like, you know, Full Moon is hitting me up being like, you know, do you want to be in our video? I was like, 60, it's not like 60-40, is it? Because that would be sick. But like the goal, yeah, now the goal, now we're all kind of like, we don't get to ride together as much because like we're all off doing our own little things, but I would think the goal would be to like really do it big.
I heard you guys had a serious swimming pool session, like A grades. We're getting thrown around.
I wasn't there, but I seen it.
I got leaked some intel.
Yeah, me and Steffi did hit swimming pool the other day. And I said I would not come on the bomb hole till I hit swimming pool. And then I texted you back. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that is just like it's just really a cool thing about snowboarding and like friendship, I guess, in general. But like working towards something together, even if it is as simple as like this big jump that we walk by all the time. And then when you actually get to do it and you lace like first try and you're like, just like that's it like happens at the perfect timing in life. But without all those times of us like walking by it being like, not today, I guess. It's first of all just me and Steffi. And we're like two small girls. And we'd be like, oh damn, Seth's at the swimming pool again. We can't hit it. Like we were gonna build a 55-foot jump, the two of us. And film it on our iPhones. Like we were like, every day we were like, we're hitting swimming pool today. But then we got to go there with like an actual crew and an actual filmer, and then it all worked out. But so yeah, I think that's like the coolest part of snowboarding. I'm really like seeing it all happen right now every day, where all my friends that I've been like, you're so sick, and now I'm kind of like, no, you're actually really sick. Like I was kind of lying before. Like yeah, you just definitely need those like false confidence for a second.
Who went first on swimming pool?
We were with Phil Hansen. He went first.
Oof.
Yeah, he laced a back 7. But
that's not the clip he's
That's not the
counting.
clip. But yeah, he yeah, no. Okay. But okay, then it was Phil, and then who went second? Pat Fava, and then Parker Duke, and then Steffi, and then me.
Nice.
You laced FT.
Yeah, I laced FT.
Woo! Woo.
Yep.
You know, it was another legendary Brighton session was I feel like we were at the top, I don't know, Sunshine Step Down last year. Was it last winter?
Yep. Yeah, last winter is rolled up
And
on
you.
you.
Just rolled up. I'm like, what's up, Katie?
I was like, what you guys got going on?
I'm like, you want to hit this? You're like, yes, I do. I'm like, have at it. And then you laced.
Yeah, some days I choose each day like a lace day or a practice day, and I bring the amount of goggles based on those.
Yeah. Switchback one.
Yeah, that was a sick one.
That was butter.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to switch back one this. And everyone's like, okay. And then, yeah, but that's a trick that I've really mastered even since then.
It's a good one.
But yeah.
What do you do? Because I tip over and go, I do the slow tip forward to violent tomahawk.
Well, yeah, like little moments like that, like just, I mean, Brighton is a huge part of that. And like, I guess like where we live in general, but yeah, just going out there and having like rolling up on Chris Grenier and Ben and Chris Beresford, like building a perfect thing and being like, hey, do you mind if I hit this? And then I'm like, sure. And then you're kind of like, okay, like this is exactly what this is where I need to be at this moment. Yeah.
Perfect. You just finished building it. Mind if I hit it? Perfect timing.
Literally was that.
Perfect timing.
I had a toughie. I bring a lot of things to the table. Maybe they're not like the building part of things.
It's true. It's true, though. You are a light, of bright light out there where you're like, oh, fuck yeah, Katie's here. You want to hit this? It's not
the
like...
humor runs deep.
Yeah, it's just good energy.
Yeah, it's definitely helps with like, yeah, you really need so much of snowboarding and working in snowboarding or anywhere is like being a good person to be around. And I've seen that, like, I try to be a good person. I think hopefully I am. But like the more you get invited, the more you get to snowboard. And like that's a huge, when we talk about like you need to be more than good at snowboarding to be a snowboarder, like being a good person and a good, like so many people are good at snowboarding at this point in our life. Like I have a hard time being like, who's the best snowboarder? Who's my favorite snowboarder? I'm like, everyone is so good, but like, who do I want to ride with the best? Like the most, like that will get you more exposure, more clips, more friends, and like to get to go on trips that you're like, damn, that like I would have, unless I got randomly hit up by Fat Tire to go to Valhalla, like I was purely invited because like on some things because they're like, oh, Katie's fun.
Katie's a good time.
And then, you know, a couple of years later, they're like, oh, Katie's pretty good. Like, so I think that like plays a huge, like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of easy to overlook people's ability based on the type of person that they are, which I think is a good thing for maybe you don't need to be like always doing like the craziest stuff, but like, yeah, just being like a good person is definitely outweighs like a lot of maybe some back then, maybe snowboarding would have like overshined through.
Who's the best snowboarder in the world?
The best snowboarder in the world? Oh gosh. I feel like I had this one at the tip of my tongue.
You thought about it?
Oh. Well, see, I think my friends are the best.
You sounded like you were pretend gassing him up before, but then you actually thought
No,
that.
yeah, I mean, my friends are the best. But like, I guess looking back, like, I think that like Marie France, don't quote me on this, don't watch this MFR, but you are the best. Like that group of girls, seeing them, being like homies with them now is like so cool because I do have moments where I'm like, damn, like they were straight up like the best at like when I was younger, and then they still all root.
Who's the best? But because they're the funnest though. Part 2.
Oh, best because they're I mean, okay, I take myself out of this one.
You guys should do a slushy award like that. It's like, who's the rider of the year, but like also mainly because of who they are.
That's, I just like ride with whoever wants to ride with me because I'm not really picky. But I mean, I think that like, I don't know, riding with my friends is definitely the best. So like Steffi, Jill, like I guess you guys are my best mates, but yeah, I really love riding with Stan. If I get a couple laps in with Stan, that's awesome. Mainly people that I like wish I was riding with all the time, but like because work and stuff, we don't get to ride together. It was really, I went to Baldface Women's Week once, and it was like me, Steffi, Barrett, Meg, I can't say her last name, Pishka, B for
Pishki?
Pishki, yeah, spelling bee. Laura Hadar. It's just like all these different groups of women generationally. And that was like the most fun time ever. Just because we all like saw snowboarding at different times in our lives and then just all like ripping pow together and just like cheering each other on and just learning about how all these like older generations had it. But then like just being able to appreciate like the good snow no matter what. That was one of like the best trips for sure. So yeah, I think as long as the people are just frothing.
I like it.
Okay, people, if you love sending it in the Eastern Sierras, whether it's snowboarding, climbing, biking, or any of the countless ways to get after it, you know that keeping your body strong is key to staying out there longer and doing what you love. That's why they built Paradox Fitness, a 24-hour gym in Bishop, California, designed for people who live to enjoy the outdoors. Whether you're up at dawn for first tracks or squeezing in a late night session after a long day in the mountains, you get 24-hour access right from your smart device. The founder is a snowboarder herself, and she knows firsthand, staying strong off the mountain makes all the difference on the mountain. No one wants to be the person stuck on the couch just watching instead of riding. So if you want to keep sending it all season long, come check out Paradox Fitness in Bishop, California. Get stronger, ride longer, and keep doing what you love. Sign up today for instant access. No waiting, no hassle, just training on your schedule. Plus, the listeners of the Bombhole can get 50% off a day pass when they enter the code BOMBHOLE50 or scan the code on the Bombhole website for your discount. Check out Paradox Fitness today.
All right, we're going to take a quick intermission here to talk to you about our good friends over at Pub Beer, who just happen to be the official beer of questionable decision-making and cheap fun. That's right. You heard it here first. Whether you're just having a couple, maybe you're watching the game, Pub Beer's a great option. Cheap fun. Maybe you need 50. Did you just get dumped? Pub Beer's got you covered. Cheap fun every time. Pub Beer.
Boom! Nitro Snowboards is back at your favorite snowboard shop. Nitro was founded over 34 years ago by a couple of snowboarders and is owned and operated and run by snowboarders today. Supporting the snowboard culture through Responsible business practice by supporting the shops first and developing some of the best boards, boots, and bindings over the last 34 seasons is why Nitro is still around and why we want to keep being here. Nitro co-founder Tommy DeLago said it best, anyone who takes the time to learn how to snowboard is a snowboarder and part of the Nitro family. Nitro has been supporting team riders since day one, and the team is stacked with a global presence of over 40 riders, from Sam Taxwood, Aero Etala, Brian Fox, Marcus Cleveland, Haley Langwin, Elias Elhart, Griffin Siebert, Christy Price, Sean Miskimen, Torgeir Bergen, Brantley Mullins, Benny Urban, Chuan Lee, Dominic Wagner, and a new member to the Nitro family, Iris Pham, people. Let's go. So what are you waiting for? Vote with your dollars this season and support a company whose mission is to support the snowboard community, the people, and the culture. Pick up your new Nitro snowboard gear from your favorite local snowboard shop this season.
It almost slipped my mind.
Oh, crap.
Do you know what time of the show it is, Silk?
I believe it might be time for Name That Video part.
How you feeling, Katie?
I'm not feeling too great, but
Confidence, 1 through 10?
a 5.
That's pretty high.
All right, here we go.
I do know this one. It's Jill Perkins.
What video?
Ride Rated R.
That's correct. I think you got a
Yeah.
bomb hole gift bag. You won it.
Booyah! I mean, okay, so Jill asks me about all of her song parts every year. And I told him that he needs to be my friend.
Yep.
Wow,
bit
thank
of a
you.
bit of a meatball.
That was a meatball. Thank
That
you
was a
so
meatball.
much.
It's more fun when people get it, though. It kind of sucks when people just scratch their head and just feel stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a Herschel bag too. Bobby Boudoir sent that.
Bobby.
Thanks, Bob.
Bobby.
Okay, part 2 of Name That Video part is not for you guys. It's for the listeners. If you know the correct song and writer and part, comment on the photo of Katie on Instagram. That's where we pick our winner. Here we go. Okay, thank you guys for playing. Name That Video part. So you just got back from research and development. How was that?
Yeah, research and development was super fun this year. It's been going on for 2 years. Robin Van Gin, came up with this idea to invite a bunch of younger girls into this backcountry event in Whitewater. And last year was definitely like the pilot episode where they were kind of figuring it out. And this year was like super sick. It was really polished, and we felt like we were like real athletes getting massages and stuff. And the snow was really good, so it was awesome.
How did it go for you out there?
It went really well. I was able to like think a lot more about this event than the first one, at least like from a competitive mentality. Like, how do I get there? How do I like turn on like something that I never really use, which is like me being in a contest. I used to compete as a little kid, but I don't really thrive in those environments. I'm more like I thrive in like team building type things, collaborating with my friends and things like that. So I kind of like thought about it a little bit differently, and just to see if I could like, be proud of what I rode away with at the end of the contest day. And the snow was really good, and I kind of like was like, I'm going to stick to a plan. I'm going to stick to a plan. And I did not stick to my plan. So now I know that I like don't stick to a plan. But I think telling myself I am helped in some way. And then it was funny. I like been reading like some like sports psychology stuff, and it was like, just do what you do every day when on the day of. So I just started patting down something. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna build something over here for no reason, because that's what I usually do before I go snowboarding. But it's like so much bigger than, I was thinking about it. Like, it's cool that they give like someone an opportunity to go to NST that maybe like wouldn't have had an opportunity. But I think it's so much like bigger than that, in that like, it's just a place for people for girls that aren't really like able to do these type of things to just like come together and practice doing those things. Like even if I had like gotten that chance to go to NST, I'm like, do I even want that? Like I kind of don't really like love the competition part of this event. I love like the filming days and like, you know, hanging out with everybody at the top and like seeing them go. But like when I was able to kind of like focus up and kind of be like, oh, you know, like you have the physical ability, but like, so might as well like try. I had a really fun run that I thought I did pretty good in. But yeah, the judges, you know, really didn't think it was that good. But it was so cool to be there. And, you know, it's hard to compete when you get older. You're kind of like, do I need to do this? Like, not really. But when I left, I was like, I really do need to do this. Like, if anything, it's just like, I get to hang out with like the younger kids and they can be like, oh, that like, how do I do a switchback 180? And like that's like really the rewarding part of it. So yeah, shout out Robin for putting that on.
Amazing. Well, speaking of events, I think maybe one of your most legendary performances at an event might be from Mecca. Maybe you guys could. I wasn't there for this. I've just heard folklore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, to start off with the Mecca event, Mikey LeBlanc hit me up and said, "Oh, I want you to announce this. You've been doing so good at announcing." And I was like, "Yeah, I have been." And then I went there and I was like, "Jill, do you want to be my co-announcer?" And
next thing you know, Katie, DC, and I are on a scaffolding with microphones. They peel us off of it, basically.
Yeah, it was so hot, and like we had an open bar, so like I'm just like running, getting me and Jill drinks, and then we're announcing like a mini rail jam. Maybe it's not mini, but it's a small amount of snow.
First of all, let's just say Denver, Colorado in the summer. Like great snowboard scene, crazy scene, I would say. Rail jam started early in the day, went a long time. And when you're working that hard, in the sun, you get really thirsty.
Yeah.
So yeah, the open bar was like the most convenient thing, you know, obviously.
Then there was like a big gap in between the event and awards where we continued to use that open bar, me and Jill. And then next thing you know, I'm like on the stage and I'm like, you win a helicopter trip. And Jill's like putting medals on people's necks. And I'm like, how did we end up here? This is like so not.
The names are not being said correctly. So sorry to all the winners. That was our bad.
If Mecca didn't happen this year because of that, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But it was great. Everyone won. They won their prizes. And our prize was a night out on the town.
Yep. Yeah.
And so what transpired the rest of that night?
Okay, this is for the fans, okay? Okay, so I'm like a little bit silly, like to like make my friends laugh, and I had a thought when I was just, you know, announcing Mecca. I was like, I don't know anyone that's gotten a swirly. And I just thought about that for a second, and then I brought it to all my friends' attention.
Right, that was your first mistake, was probably bringing it up to your friends.
Yep. And so I was like, do you guys know anyone that's got a swirly? It's like this like made up thing in my head. And then then the night like went on, and then I continued to go to more open bars, and then I was like, it's time, everybody. I'm getting a swirly, and you're gonna do it. And then I got a swirly, and it was pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, we will say it was one of those restrooms. It was a clean bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, not to make it wasn't like we took advantage really of our friend, and we weren't bullying her. I want people to know.
It was self-suggested. She brought it to the table.
It was self-suggested, and you get me, Jules, Grace, and Emily in a sterile bathroom, and that head's getting dunked, baby.
I'd say you're just helping out a friend.
Yeah.
That's what she wants.
Yeah, and now like if someone is like, hey, do you know anyone that's got a swirly? We can all say, yes, we do.
Yeah, I think it was some
you
sort
flushed
of
the toilet as well.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah,
Not only was the toilet flushed, but the toilet seat had dropped on Katie's head.
Oh, wow,
because
yeah.
Grace was
Full
because the poor lady in the stall next to us was asking for toilet paper. She had ran out, poor girl. So Katie's upside down, like neck deep in the fucking toilet. And Grace just fucking drops the toilet seat and just comes crashing down. So sorry again for that. That was
but
sad.
My hair looked so good after.
This is the best part. Do you want to say this or? We get out of the bathroom, so Katie's, fresh out of the toilet. She's wet. She's clean of her sins of the day. So fresh start for her. We're like blow drying her hair in the hand dryer, so she's like sitting under the thing. We're like, Grace is like giving her a nice speech, like petting her hair, and we go outside and the bar's full. Like the bathroom was empty and clean. The bar's full and dirty, and Katie walks out there and everyone like Spencer, Desiree, all these people are like touching her hair, being like, Katie, your hair looks so good. Like, what'd you do? And all of us are just sitting there busted up because we know exactly what just happened. She just
And then we did karaoke, Don't Stop Believing, and it was epic night, actually.
It was, looking back, pretty beautiful.
It was beautiful.
That is the stuff legends are made of.
Yeah. Yep.
That is, That's Jersey in the rafters.
That is
Hall of Fame.
is
That's
Jersey.
Hall of Fame.
That is Jersey.
That's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was a sick one. I've done a lot of sick ones over the years, and I will continue to. Maybe, but now we don't have to do that one anymore.
No, that one's off the list. But that just goes to show it is, that was, we talk about today, where travels, and it's like, when you're going on a fat tire trip, of course you're bringing Katie Kennedy because why not? You might want to bring the instigator friend too. I'll be there.
Yeah, we have our roles for sure. But yeah, I've never been, I've been pretty... Like, I always say that there's great power in being silly and not caring. And I kind of bring that into all aspects of my life. Like, even like work, like I'll just say things wrong, spell things wrong. But like, just like kind of leaving some of that, like that caring behind, like really, that's when the magic is made. But I think that it really goes into like all aspects of my life where I think there is like a lot of power in being like, yeah, I'm going to be silly. I don't care. It's going to, like, it just makes everything so much better. And then you're really yourself. Which is like, yeah, it even helps me in snowboarding too. I don't really care what I look like.
And that's like going back to, you go to like Jill's event last year and I was watching you learn cripplers. And the first few were
silly.
They were a disaster. Yeah, you're going on to the deck, and now you have cripplers and you have underflips, and it's because you're like, I'm having fun. I don't give a shit, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, now I got them. But yeah. I feel like some of the people that we hang out with are like, I'm not going to the bone zone because like I don't want to fall in front of people or whatever the case is, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fall and be loud and do whatever. And I think taking that what people think about you matters, like can really like hurt you more than anything.
And that's hard. I do want to, I totally agree, but that is so hard for some people to do that, to just be like, it doesn't matter what I look like because we're so, we're made up to be judged by a lot of people, especially in this industry, everything else. So it is scary for people to just like, just sack up and not care about what people think. But again, like testament to, like if you just go out and you do it and you try and you like aren't afraid of making a fool of yourself, yes, that might be scary, but the outcome of you then learning that trick or doing that is so much better that you're not going to remember the times that you fell. You're going to remember the times that you landed it and how that was like the best day of your life. And like, I don't know, that's something to carry with. That's something I try to remember. Something I need to remember,
great
Jill.
Power.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as we get older too, there's like, maybe when you're younger, whatever you were doing when you were younger, that's like my main goal in life is like whatever like 6-year-old Katie was doing, that's like the most like authentic version of yourself. And so I just like, it's luckily I feel honored blessed that I have that like young at heart still, but like that is like, that's like the goal in life, I think, is to like, that's when you're purest. That's when you don't care what anyone thinks. And from then on, you're in school and people are like, that's not cool. That is cool. You should wear this. You shouldn't dress like that. And I feel like I was sucked into that for a long time, for sure. Like being like, oh, I can't like skateboard or whatever because that's like what boys do. And now I'm like 6-year-old Katie doesn't give a shit really what goes on.
Yeah, and now 31-year-old Katie's really good at skateboarding because you don't care.
I'm getting so good. But I used to go to the skate park all dudes there. I would be 6 years old in my rollerblades, dropping in on everybody.
Yeah, snake.
I did. And now sometimes I'm like, oh. I went through
an image of that. That is legendary. That's hilarious.
Yeah, sometimes in clips, like it looks like I'm 6 years old. If I don't land it, I'm like, damn it! I almost had that one. I'm going back up there. I'm running back up there, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it's about.
It is. Kids got to figure out they're present. They're just doing shit because it's fun. They don't care.
Yeah.
And then we are like, oh, we got this big, serious, important life. We need to do our Zoom meetings and fucking spreadsheets.
It's not that important. Yeah, it's not that important.
Nothing's really that important.
No.
It's all pretty light. And when you keep it light, you got the philosophy of Katie Kennedy and you're living a good life.
People do ask me that are like doing multiple things. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like, how do you like go out there and snowboard?
Sorry. I have a guest question from Steffi.
Okay, perfect.
I was wondering when this one was coming.
That is a segue to kind of what you're talking about.
Okay, perfect.
I think. I'm sorry to
we never know what she's going to say.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Katie. I would like to ask you about how you remain so positive and energized and just always have the best time ever, no matter what, while also having a full-time job and just juggling so many different roles. It's something I really admire about you, and it's why you're one of my favorite people to snowboard with. So let's hear it.
Oh, Steffi, best mate. Yeah, well, this is like, a theme in my life where, I'm a juggler. But I think that what I've found on my snowboard lately is that like sense of like freedom and kidness that like really does remain, that keeps me like positive. And I think that a lot of it is like the lack of kind of caring. My vocabulary is very deep, but like, like at the end of the day, I kind of like take the day for what it is and don't really think about it too much after the fact. So yeah, when people do ask me like, how do I do it all? And I mean, it's not that I don't care, but I just get it done and it's over and done with. And then I'm able to enjoy myself a little bit more. I've just had so many different jobs and so many different like responsibilities that I've tested the care too much avenue, and it doesn't affect the outcome really at all. Like the outcome is still the end project. You still post it, you still host that event, and the like overthinking and overworking yourself, it doesn't make it any better and the outcome any better, which I've learned over time, that like kind of just like like detaching yourself from what you're doing, it doesn't really affect who you are, like keeps you positive about everything else going on in your life. So like I think that makes sense.
That was beautiful philosophy. That's wise. I would say that's wise.
Yeah, well, I think that like that's like another thing. Like I want to be 6, and I also don't want to like really identify with like anything outside of me myself. Like which in snowboarding is super hard to do. And I've like really even learned in the last couple of years that like I work for Slush. I am not Slush. Like
that's good.
I snowboard, but that's not like the only thing that I am. And when you have like attachments to it and things go wrong and those outside things, it will like affect who you are truly as a person. Like, like you lose the event and then all of a sudden you're like super bummed and and that's not who you are. But so like I even am still learning it to this day. But there's like I've been like trying to really like detach from what I do at work. Like, and I'm like, oh, this post is kind of lame or whatever. Like I was told to do this, but I just post it, forget about it. Like it's
your self-worth isn't relying on that.
Yeah, nothing really. My self-worth is always 100 now. But it's especially in snowboarding, it's so hard to not attach yourself to the footage that you got or the brands that you ride with. But like that shouldn't you shouldn't change your personality and your and like who you show up for, how you show up to the people that you love based on what you're doing on your snowboard or what you're doing at work. Like you should still be able to be like, yeah, work kind of sucked, but I'm not gonna make everybody else's life suck because of that, or like bring sucky into my whole day. But yeah, I think that. But I've had a lot of like really good role models in my life that have kind of like helped me, like my mom, for example, and just some like. Seeing people do things right and wrong, I feel like I've been really open to learning from everybody that I've ever come across. And even if I walk away with being like, that is not how I want to do something, then that's a win for me. And even in jobs, like I'll be like, that's not for me. Like, but I took the job and I tried it, but like, that's not for me. And I think that that's still a part of detachment where you're like, yeah, I did do that crazy job for that winter, but like, that's not who I am, or like, that's not going to determine. So yeah, I mean, it is hard to detach yourself when you have all these things going on, but I just try to be like really present in what I have going on. So if I'm like working, I'm just like working, and that's kind of hard because the next thing you know, I'm like editing my clips and stuff, But yeah, I mean, like Jessica Murrah, legend, absolute GOAT. But she has frequently asked me like how I do it because she's doing the uninvited, and I can tell that their crew works really hard and they care so much. And when she asks me like how I do it, I really say like I kind of do my job for the time allotted, and then I don't really care that much, which is something I practice. I have to practice because like. Often I'll be sleeping and I'll be like, damn, did I like give enough like credit to that person on that Instagram post? And like, there's just like so many like layers to what we do. It all like crosses over, which I think is crazy. I admire all snowboarders because this is like working outside of snowboarding and then coming into snowboarding is crazy. Cause you're like, okay, you're my best friend. You're also like my business partner. You are responsible for my safety out here, and do not rub me the wrong way because I'm about to do something that's really crazy. Like there's so many like interpersonal communication skills that go into this industry that the more you know, the less you care, kind of thing. Like, I don't know. It's sometimes people are like grumpy, and I'm like, well, they're grumpy at themselves. Like we're filming and snowboarding, and they're grumpy because that's how they get their clip. I get my clip differently, but I'm not gonna like let that affect me or whatever. But yeah, shout out to everybody that works in this space and snowboards in this space because we're all working together and it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think there's actually like a underlying there's like a nonverbal understanding between all of that. Like when you're like, yeah, you're gonna like deal with me being annoying. You're gonna like watch me go off this thing, but like at the end of the day, you have my back. Like that is something that's so beautiful about snowboarding. The people that are working in it, riding in it, fans of it. Like it is this thing that an unspoken rule essentially, where it's just like, we love the same thing and we're in this together. I might not like you, but I love your safety. And so we're here together kind of thing. And like, not everybody gets a piece of that. And we're lucky to have that.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah. It's so sick. But it definitely is something that you practice. I mean, I feel like even like going out with your best friend and like not knowing how to act in that moment is really crazy. You're like, usually I'd make a joke, but they seem like they don't want the joke. But if I don't say the joke, am I going to not land my trick?
That's called superstition.
So I would say the less you care, the better, the more you can care.
Damn.
That's beautiful.
Bars.
I want to go back really quick on one thing too, where you were talking about like, I do my thing and I let it go. I put it in a different compartment and I go do my other thing. So whether that's work and then snowboarding or snowboarding and then work, whatever it is, like I think that's so important, especially like working in media. And, you know, people like stay awake at night, like being like, should I post this? Should I not? Or like, is this clip good enough? Is this clip not? At the end of the day, like, remember, like what helps me, I guess, personally is like, I'm not going to bed thinking about the clip that, no offense, I love your clips, but I'm not like going to bed being like, oh, Katie really like fucked up that
Caption.
Yeah, whatever. Or vice versa. Or going to bed being like, oh my God, Katie fucking killed that. Like, maybe I am, probably am. But like, realistically, the energy we spend on like, the wasted energy we spend on thinking about other people, how other people are going to perceive the things that we put out in the world is energy that we can like channel into just like making ourselves better. And it's a really hard thing to do. And it is a practice, but like, what you're showing us is like a perfect example of like when you are able to like compartmentalize certain things, then you can like excel in others rather than like wasting that energy on something that like really isn't that big of a deal.
Totally.
And that's really cool. That was a compliment, I guess.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
cool.
you. I think that everyone really just cares about themselves at the end of the day. I think that's like the reality that we all live in. And I think the more you know that and can accept that, then you're going to be better off.
People aren't thinking about you; they're thinking about themselves.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. What's your favorite word? Your own name.
Yeah.
But there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm sure a lot of people know that book.
Wait, what is it? Slow down.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's really what my college degree taught me. But it's this like iconic business book, and like there's chapters and chapters on just like basic things like that like, why do people love a dog? Because they're excited to see you all the time. And like there's just all these like basic things that we know that is really, I mean, I just think that I look at things pretty simply. And yeah, if anyone out there hasn't read that, I would read that.
Can I shoot some holes? So can I just be a devil's advocate for a second?
Yep.
I think if I'm speaking on personal experience, my best shit I ever filmed was when my self-worth was 110% attached to how I was riding on my snowboard. So although I may have not been happy, it creates a good fucking result.
Chris, I've been trying to spiteboard. I've been like, seriously? Me and Steffi have been like, we're going to spiteboard today. And then we're out there laughing.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Well, but I think everybody works so differently.
Yeah. Totally. It's
like
a perspective thing. At the end of the day, it's like how and it can change too, because I've been in that position and I've also been in the position where I'm like, I just need my friends, and then I'm like, so it ebbs and flows, but it's like at the end of the day, it's the perspective and it's how you need to like treat yourself on that day or that season. If you need to fucking hate yourself for this season, I encourage you.
Totally.
I encourage you to hate yourself.
I'm like,
idiot. Such a fucking
Yeah, we really, me and Steffi have really been like, damn, we are too, like, people are spiteboarding out here. They're not talking to us.
Yeah.
No one wants to hang out with us. Everyone's like, you guys are having too much fun. And I'm like, and we're kind of not winning. So like, maybe we need to be angry. But then I'm like, but that's not how I work. So and then I'm angry that I'm like even more angry that I tried to be angry.
Yeah. The classic, I'm anxious and now I'm anxious about being anxious situation.
Yeah, I think you need to, the more you put yourself in situations too, it's like a practice. The more you like get yourself in situations, the more you can learn about what works for you, right? Yeah. The more you're like, oh, I did snowboard well when I was angry, but I guess I don't know, you just got to keep doing it. And I think that keep doing all the things and figure out what like motivates you or, motivates you to just get the shit done.
Straight up. All right, we're going to get into hot takes, staple of the show. We start off with, who is your GOAT, both male and female?
Okay. Well, okay.
Go on. You got this.
Okay, well, for me, GOAT for females is probably Desiree Melanson. She is a really close friend of mine, but I just have always like thought she was like so cool before I really got to know her. And then it's even cooler when you get to know somebody and you're like, you're kind of nerdy or like you're kind of weird, and I like you a lot as a person. So she's just a GOAT to me from like before I even got to know her. And then I just remember we were like good friends, and then there would be all these cool things that happen. Like she would get the cover and like all these things that I was like, oh, and then I lived with her and now I'm like, you're lucky you're a GOAT. For boys, I have like a really different like perspective of snowboarding because I'm so like, I wasn't like a kid being like, this is like my idol snowboarder. But I really like Austin Sweeten. I think he's the GOAT in my opinion. I've gotten to ride with him. I think he's like this super nice guy that's so good. And like, I think that he is like a great person for snowboarding to like, for people to look up to. And like, he's so good on his snowboard and everyone's like, I want to ride like Austin Sweeten. So that's goated in my eyes. And yeah, he's also like, I wonder, Austin Sweeten, do you spikeboard? I need to know.
No.
That's a great answer, though. That is a winning answer.
Yeah, those are fantastic. Art form, sport, or lifestyle for snowboarding?
I would say, honestly, I think it's a sport. Because the stronger I am, the better I am.
Strippers, too.
Yep. One and the same.
Damn. Okay.
I think it's an art, like on a day-to-day. It depends on how you are looking at snowboarding, but I think for like safety purposes and for like getting better, like if you treat it like you're an athlete, like you're going to do better. Like if you are like working out and strong, then it's going to be. But like if for everybody else, maybe it's an art. I don't know. It's a canvas. I like to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
I mean, if you're stronger, it sticks harder.
Exactly.
That's it.
I'm a crappy strong artist.
All right. Who's one of the most underrated riders in your opinion?
Most underrated rider, in my opinion. All of my friends are so overrated. I mean, my favorite person to ride with that is younger, that is, I think, deserves more is Egan Wint. I wouldn't say she's necessarily underrated because she hasn't really been rated yet, but like someone that I feel like could really be put on the map in a much bigger way is Egan. She's like my favorite person to ride with. She's 6 as well, I think.
Steel or powder?
I'm going powder, but I've been learning stuff on the steel. Switch front boards recently.
Super freak on the steel.
Super freak on the steel.
Super freak.
Powder for me it works better with my mindset.
Who's got your favorite style ever?
My favorite style ever? I'm going to go with Steffi Luxton. Mainly because she's what I compare my style to the most, and I can't get close. Like, but yeah, I am really influenced style-wise by the people I ride with the closest, and it's just really helpful when your friends are sick.
Who's got your favorite method?
My favorite method has got to be Stan.
Wow. Wow, hot take.
I mean, Jamie Lynn, I think for sure over Stan. I think Jamie Lynn's is like the one that I'm like, oh, well, he's also the only person that I've read. He has like an article somewhere or something in an old magazine that's like why he does the method and why, like the way he does it. But I get the most like joy when Stan does a method. So that's what I'm going with.
That's good.
What's your favorite snowboard video ever made?
Pop. Absent Films.
Wow, good answer.
Yeah. Well, I had to hit a jump that was in there, so I watched it like 1 million times, and I fell in love.
What about Peep Show, like the head stall? Didn't you like that one for a while?
Yeah, I did. Winter Wars.
Yeah.
Colleen Quigley. Yep.
What's your favorite board graphic ever made?
My favorite board graphic ever made. What? Well, I'd have to say, remember a time when, I don't really know that, like, I like I like Barrett's boards that she makes. The one that has like the flowers around it, that they just did the remake of. I thought that was like a cool ode to the past. I like boards that Desiree does, and yeah, don't really have like a straight answer for that one.
All right, you're going heliboard and you can only bring 3 people you're just good times. And it could be anyone for the record. Some people have brought Charlie Sheen, Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I'm not trying to influence your answer, but I'm just letting you know, doors
You could
up.
bring literally anybody.
You bring literally anyone, yeah.
Yep. Dead or alive?
Yep. Hypothetical.
Okay. I'm bringing Chelsea Handler.
Smart. Smart.
Because she's been doing the bikini rides. That would be really funny.
Topless on the 50th, I saw. Crazy.
And I'm bringing Steffi Loxton for sure. And she's feeling a little pressure to bring.
Yeah, Jill's good.
I'm sitting in the booth. I've had enough.
I'm gonna bring Nicole. I'm gonna bring Nicole Hawes.
Yeah, let's get Nicole in there.
Yeah, because that would be so funny. She
needs that.
Yeah. Jill,
Are you okay that you're not in there? I just wanted to like.
Oh yeah.
Well, Chelsea Handler
You're okay,
will
yeah.
be.
I'll be on the chopper in front of them on the first runs, and
Yeah, Jill's gonna find her own way on the helicopter. I'm not worried about Jill getting on the helicopter.
Okay, dream sponsor. Anything in the world, doesn't have to be snowboard related.
Okay, I'm going to go with Stumptown coffee. That's something I drink every day. But also Apple would be sick because then I get computers and stuff.
yeah, your phone replacements and
I would say phone and coffee. Those are what I live by.
You got one though.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with Apple then. Okay,
Stumptown. You can order the Stumptown, maybe like win a couple awards, like win some
Here's the thing.
giveaways.
You're sponsored by Apple. You get a computer, you sell it, you get a
you're
goddamn
right.
year's supply. Stumptown.
Loophole.
Yeah.
See, I make bad business deals
Stumptown
sometimes.
coffee. That's what you were gonna say.
gotta say,
That's
that's not a-
insane. It's
not
gonna
a
be
good
anything in the
answer.
world.
Not a
Honestly,
good
things
answer.
just come to my head. Okay, I just say them. But I was like, what do I do every day? Drink coffee.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Nice.
Okay, glad you didn't go with Stumptown for your final
Yeah, I'm
answer.
going Apple.
Okay.
Thank you, Apple, for sending me all the products.
Worst trend. Last question. Worst trend.
Spiteboarding. I think the worst trend, yes. I guess bar fights and spiteboarding. I hate bar fights.
You don't like bar fights?
No.
Like, even when you're not involved in it, you're just watching them?
Yeah, like it's scary. Like when we were at Twilight.
That was
night,
scary in the traffic. That was scary.
That was scary. No, people that spiteboard, I think, should keep it up because it's working. I just think that, just like people that care too much and hate too much should find something better to do. Maybe like conspiracy theorists too. Don't. I think that's
Bad trend.
It's a bad trend.
Okay. I like some hard-hitting answers. That's great. Katie's nailing it.
I never answer with one answer.
Yeah. It's okay. They're all so good that we don't have to narrow it down. All over the board. Bar fight, conspiracy theory. What
Hatred.
else? Yeah, hatred. Yeah.
I went all across the spectrum.
Yeah. I like it. All right, we got a couple things left. Setups. Tell us about your board you're riding.
Okay, well, to my left here, I have a 2-time Art by Katie Kennedy. It's a LibTech camber snowboard. I ride this like every day except for when it's deep powder. And then I ride the DRP, or it could be DPR. It's a new board, so I get confused. But LibTech snowboards, I don't even know what it's like to ride another snowboard at this point, but they have like magnet traction, obviously. But
What is that?
Just little waves.
Yeah.
Just little waves.
Okay.
But they feel like they're all like handmade. They really do feel like a little bit different than other snowboards. I don't know. And I have bent metal bindings that I ride that I don't really think too much about my bindings, so bent metal does a good job for me. I ride Nidecker snowboard boots, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, you were selling me on those things last
Thank
time
you,
we
Tom
rode.
Pelly. Yeah. I am a big sales. But see, I sell it to people that like get them for free too. So Tom was like, I love that you're hyping them up. But then they just DM me being like, Katie told me to hit you up. But they're really nice snowboard boots. Like, I think that techie stuff in some like ways kind of go the distance. I don't know. I've been wearing like basic. Maybe I just like sometimes I'm like, oh, boots should be like really nice. They should be like, like treated like their performance stuff. So that's really made a difference, actually. Thank you, Nidecker. What kind of other setup stuff?
I mean, that's usually, we just talk hard goods, but you know.
Okay, sometimes.
You can tell, might as well run through outerwear. I mean, shit, what else we got to talk about?
I wear wolf merino base layers cut off at the knees.
Okay.
Self-cut them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you wear underwear under your base layers or do you not? And this is a question for you too.
Yeah, I wear boxers, lady boxers.
Like briefs?
Yeah, they're tight.
Yeah. Do you wear?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
how about yourself?
I do. I mean, there was a phase where I didn't, but now I wear the briefs because I mean, I've snowboarded in a thong before and that's not the most comfortable thing in the world.
yeah, for sure wear the tight briefs.
Yeah.
Multiple days in a row. Jesus. Yeah, then I ride 686 outerwear, which I really like because there's so many different kinds that I got like, you know, a bunch of different styles depending on the day. And yep, that's about it.
Nice. One thing we do before we wrap it up is thank yous. You want to throw any thank yous out?
Yeah, thank you to Jill and Chris. Thanks for having me. And all the Bombhole staff. Silk, thanks for taking the job.
Pleasure. Yeah, pleasure.
And yeah, thanks to my family and my mom especially, because yeah, she's kind of put this can-do attitude inside of me from the beginning. And Pat Bridges and Stan and Meyer and Bob and Kaya and Norm at Slush, because yeah, they've given me a lot of purpose over there, and all my sponsors and Jesse and Barrett and Al at LibTech and Brent and Pat at 686. It's been really great working with them and them giving me opportunities. And to my friends, Jill, Steffi, Emma, Desiree. Yeah, thank you everyone that, you know, I've ever talked to, worked with, and that I get to snowboard with, because it's all more fun because of them.
Incredible. One last question we got is, what's next for Katie Kennedy?
I'm working on a 2 to 5 year video part. I don't know. I'm kind of at this like weird place in my life where I don't really know what's next. Do I want to like, when you're 31 and you've kind of like you feel like you've seen a lot. So you kind of want to like take that and do something bigger. But I think for like the interim is definitely like snowboard, like to the best of my ability, like for a little bit, just give it a really good shot and, land some bigger tricks and go snowmobiling.
Beautiful. It's been a great show.
Yeah, this has been really fun.
I had a lot of fun.
Did you love it?
Did you have fun, Jill?
I had a great time.
Nice. Silk, did you have
Great time. Loved it.
What was your favorite part of the show, Silk?
Spelling bee was pretty good.
Yep.
That story with a stripper. That was my favorite part, for sure.
Amazing. Well, I want to say thank you guys so much for coming on. All the sponsors, all the Patreon members, everybody that supports, everybody that listens, all that, everyone. But the question is, Katie, would you like to do our sign off? Would you like to take us out of the show?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. What do I do?
Whatever.
It's kind of
anything.
It's just
That's
like,
you.
A nice sign, like, thanks for listening. See you next week,
Whatever.
but in your own words.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to the Bombhole today. I hope you had a great day and you are psyched to get out there with your homies and rip it up. Peace.
Nice.
Nice work, everybody.